In the mystic Azure realm, within the Yu Kingdom, lies the bustling city of Green River. The streets, vibrant with throngs of people and a riot of blooming flowers, are lively with activity. At one roadside, a humble tea stall offers a large bowl of cool tea for just a copper coin. A plainly dressed young man sits quietly there, sipping his tea and reflecting on the past year of evading capture. As a person who had traversed from another world, he felt somewhat embarrassed by his current lowly state. He is Chu Xian, who 20 years ago crossed into the mystic Azure realm and became an outer disciple of the Infinite Sect. Lacking a benefactor or any magical aids, he relied solely on his handsome appearance and mediocre talents. Fortunately, the Infinite Sect, being the strongest in the Yu Kingdom and ruling over 3 of its 9 provinces, provided him robust support. After 10 years of diligent practice, Chu Xian finally managed to refine his qi and entered the qi refining stage, thus advancing to the status of an inner disciple. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Recognizing his ordinary aptitude, he delved into various fields such as Reverend Insanity, Poison Arts, Corpse Refining, Puppetry, and Disguise. Although his cultivation level wasn't high, his diverse skills made him a formidable cultivator. At his peak, he ranked 10th among the inner disciples, nearly catching the eye of an elder who would take him as a direct disciple. Then disaster struck. The foremost ancient ancestor of the Infinite Sect succumbed to demonic possession during cultivation and met an untimely demise. Upon hearing this, the 5 righteous sects of the Yu Kingdom declared the Infinite Sect culpable of numerous misdeeds and marked for destruction. Outnumbered, the Infinite Sect was driven back in defeat. A nascent Soul Elder and 10 Golden Core Elders, most of whom perished or surrendered in the ensuing battles, left only a handful to escape. The sect leader, vice leader, and the chief elders either died, fled, or defected. From its zenith to dissolution, the sect crumbled within a mere month. Compared to those mighty Golden Core cultivators, Chu Xian was merely a small fry, which ironically allowed him to escape with his life. Nonetheless, his identity forced him into a life of constant hiding. A year had passed since the fall of the Infinite Sect. Many disciples had been captured and executed, yet he remained alive. His extensive knowledge of various magics had now become his means of survival. Even as he sat quietly, every sound in the vicinity was audible to him, thanks to the listening insects he cultivated in both ears. These magical creatures amplified even the slightest noises, allowing him to hear extremely subtle sounds. At that moment, another person approached, hesitating before taking a seat across from the plainly dressed youth. He whispered tentatively, "Heavenly King covers the earth tiger?" "Pagoda subdues the river sprite lighter," responded Chu Xian calmly. Exhaling in relief, the man said, "Senior brother, you are truly brave to choose this place for our meeting." Chu Xian continued to sip his tea. "We are just rule-abiding rogue cultivators, what is there to fear?" The man swallowed nervously, nodding repeatedly, his eyes filled with admiration as he looked at Chu Xian. Chu Xian, this senior brother, once ranked 10th among the inner disciples of the Infinite Sect. Yet, a year had passed, and all the inner disciples ahead of him had been captured by the orthodox sections. Only Chu Xian remained free, daring even to swagger about on the territory of the righteous sections. His audacity was indeed admirable. "He Liang, did you bring the items?" Chu Xian casually inquired as he sipped his tea. He Liang nodded, pulling out a low-grade storage bag and passing it over. Chu Xian received it and peered inside. His cultivation of blood arts required a vast amount of blood essence. Whether from humans or demonic beasts, any being with essence blood would suffice. Harvesting it from mortals was the quickest method, but it reduced one's merit, and slaughtering too many could attract the scrutiny of the heavens. If you stumble upon this narrative on Amazon, be aware that it has been stolen from Royal Road. Please report it. Such actions could lead to severe celestial and terrestrial tribulations when attempting to reach higher realms of cultivation, making survival difficult. Chu Xian speculated that the accidental demise of the first elder of the Infinite Sect was not unconnected to his heavy killing. Now, With the infinite sect destroyed, the 5 orthodox sects were strictly investigating the slaughter of mortals. Killing mortals at such a time was akin to courting death. Therefore, he had entrusted He Liang to bring him demonic beast blood pearls, refined blood that was compact, energy-rich, and suitable for cultivation. The quality is good, Chu Xian nodded slightly, tossing 10 small spiritual stones to He Liang, who greedily pocketed them. Just as Chu Xian was about to leave, he sensed something amiss. The snack stands, vegetable stalls, rouge shops, and meat shops around seemed to have changed hands. Even the voices were different. He was subtly but surely under surveillance, including by some with the potent aura of the Foundation establishment stage. He glanced at He Liang. The face Chu Xian wore was a new human skin mask he had fashioned that day. Apart from He Liang, no one knew he was Chu Xian. Seems I'll need to change my face again. Junior brother, I need another item, he suddenly said. He Liang nodded, please instruct, senior brother. Do you have any spirit blood pills? He Liang nodded earnestly, I have 2, taken from the sect's treasury when I fled. Chu Xian lowered his voice, I need spirit blood pills, as many as you can find. He Liang paused, puzzled. But those are needed by Foundation establishment stage cultivators who are severely injured. Senior brother, you. He suddenly realized, I understand. Senior brother, have you found Uncle Lu? Uncle Master Lu, fully named Lu Zhenxiong, a cultivator at the Foundation establishment stage, was one of the few members of the Infinite Sect who had yet evaded capture by those righteous cultivators. Chu Xian spoke coldly, do not ask questions that should not be asked. He Liang quickly covered his mouth, I understand, I understand. Hand over the spirit blood pill, demanded Chu Xian, extending his hand. In a low voice, He Liang replied, the spirit blood pill is too precious, senior brother, surely you don't have enough spirit stones? Chu Xian remained silent. In haste, He Liang suggested, how about this? Take me to see Uncle Master Lu, and I will join you. In times like these, we should stick together, senior brother. Chu Xian sternly refused, no, the risk is too great. He Liang sighed deeply, then reluctantly pulled out a spirit stone and placed it in Chu Xian's hand. Just 1 medium spiritual stone. Not a stone more. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. A small spiritual stone, a byproduct of the spirit stone veins with low purity, was generally circulated among Qi refining stage cultivators. A medium spiritual stone, significantly purer and larger, was mostly exchanged among Foundation establishment stage cultivators. A single medium spiritual stone could be traded for 100 small spiritual stones. Unexpectedly, He Liang possessed one. Given your sincerity, I am reluctantly reassured, Chu Xian nodded slightly. He Liang breathed a sigh of relief, let's go quickly, senior brother. With a Foundation establishment stage cultivator like Uncle Master Lu for protection, I can rest easy. Chu Xian nodded, the location is in an abandoned residence in the east of the city, follow me. After speaking, he tossed a copper coin on the table and promptly rose to leave. He Liang hurried after him. After their departure, 6 observing cultivators immediately approached the tea stall. The leader, a middle-aged cultivator exuding an aura of sage-like wisdom and clearly at the Foundation establishment stage, exclaimed with joy, He Liang has followed him, we must have hooked a big fish. Follow them immediately, capturing this big fish will earn us all commendations, he ordered in a low shout. Yes. Moments later, at the eastern city residences. The middle-aged cultivator and his companions arrived at the site, swiftly encircling the nearby homes, sealing them off completely. Uncle Master, when do we move in? Asked a young disciple. Wait for the signal, the middle-aged cultivator whispered back. Shortly after, a loud explosion was heard. The door of the house was blown off its hinges. He Liang was hurled out, blood spraying wildly as he fell through the air. In agony, he screamed, below. Lu Zhenxiong is underground. They've discovered me. The eyes of the middle-aged cultivator lit up, and he bellowed, charge in. Capture them alive. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The righteous cultivators swept past He Liang, storming into the residence. Inside, indeed, there was a dark, vast hole leading underground. Outside Green River City, Chu Xian stripped off Yi Liang's face and casually tossed it into the river. "These makeshift human skin masks are truly uncomfortable to wear," he muttered. He sifted through Yi Liang's storage bag, nodding slightly in approval. Over 80 small spiritual stones, 1 medium spiritual stone, 3 rejuvenation pills, a vial of spirit restoration water, a large barrel of demonic beast blood, plus all of Yi Liang's spiritual qi, not bad at all. Indeed, plundering after murder does make quick gains, Chu Xian smacked his lips. Earlier, inside the abandoned residence, he had taken Yi Liang by surprise with a sneak attack, swiftly gaining control. First, he extracted information about the righteous cultivators from Yi Liang, then he drained his spiritual qi using the soul extraction technique. Finally, he skinned Yi Liang's face to create a temporary mask and made his escape. But can one truly escape forever? He pondered. Each minor breakthrough in my cultivation technique requires a substantial amount of lifeblood. The goo insects I nurture also need to consume a significant amount of flesh and blood to evolve. If they aren't fed adequately over time, they'll turn on me. Every quest for flesh and blood is a risk. Perhaps I should become a righteous cultivator instead, Chu Xian smiled wryly. To survive in this world of cultivation, one must switch allegiances and practice the techniques of the righteous path. However, if he were to train in the ways of the righteous, it would mean starting over from scratch. Given his mediocre talents, he doubted he'd ever reach the foundation establishment stage. It seemed that only demonic techniques, which are low in requirements, quick to show results, and powerful, suited someone of his ordinary capabilities. Well, is this mirror one of Yi Liang's magical tools? Chu Xian noticed a dusty, blood-colored mirror in the corner of the storage bag. He retrieved it and channeled his spiritual qi into it, but to no avail. Normally, just a small amount of spiritual qi should activate a magical tool. This tool was peculiar. Could it be of a high grade? Chu Xian injected half of his entire reserve of spiritual qi this time. Suddenly, the blood mirror buzzed and the dust cleared. The mirror then displayed a scene from a modern apocalypse, tall skyscrapers, desolate silence, and zombies roaming freely. Chu Xian was taken aback. This world, why did it so closely resemble the zombie-themed movies and shows he had watched before his transmigration? He frowned, suddenly sensing a thought emanating from within the blood mirror. It seemed he could travel directly to this apocalyptic planet if he so wished. Intrigued, Chu Xian reached out and touched the mirror. In the blink of an eye, the world spun around him, filled with chaotic light, bizarre sounds, and distorted visions. When clarity returned, Chu Xian found himself standing on a city street. Tall buildings lined the street, and shops stood side by side, while the distance was dominated by towering skyscrapers. The street itself was littered with abandoned cars and overgrown weeds, a desolate scene indeed. A sudden sound of footsteps caught his attention. A grotesque figure staggered out from the shadow of a car, its eyes hollow and bloodthirsty, drooling foul-smelling saliva, the unmistakable mark of a zombie. It roared upon sensing the scent of the living and lunged towards Chu Xian. The story has been taken without consent. If you see it on Amazon, report the incident. Chu Xian, slightly frowning, swiftly raised his hand. A line of blood shot forth, slicing through the zombie's neck. The creature's head separated from its body, falling to the ground dead, its blood spurting out like a fountain. After all, Chu Xian was a qi-refining stage cultivator. Although he had not yet mastered the abilities to command the wind or control the earth, and could only use his spiritual qi in basic ways, his strength and senses far surpassed those of ordinary humans. And the body of a zombie was no different from that of a human. A single cut to kill was nothing unusual. Shaking his head and about to leave, Chu Xian suddenly felt a stir within him from his nurtured goo insect, causing him to stop. He extended his palm, and from a split in the skin, a blood-red worm emerged. This worm, as thick as a finger and notably tough, was known as blood steel wire, a goo renowned for its toughness. Cultivating the art of goo, feeding it over a long period, and developing a bond allowed it to be used against enemies. A qi refining stage cultivator had a very limited total amount of spiritual qi, usually able to activate a spell only once or twice before exhausting their reserves. This was why Chu Xian had chosen blood steel wire as an additional means of defense. It was also his versatility that had solidified his standing among the disciples of the inner sect of the Infinite Sect, ranking 10th. Currently, Chu Xian's cultivation was too low to nurture more than one blood steel wire, but as his level increased, he could nurture more, and thus develop more techniques for combat. At this moment, the blood steel wire, sensing the smell of blood and flesh, appeared quite hungry and kept looking eagerly in that direction. Chu Xian, observing the corpse of the zombie, suddenly raised an eyebrow. Zombies can move, perhaps they too count as living beings? Chu Xian pondered. Could the blood and flesh of zombies be effective for cultivating my techniques and feeding my goo? The more he thought about it, the more intrigued he became. In this world, techniques and spells were ranked from lowest to highest in 4 tiers. The technique Chu Xian practiced, the blood spirit technique, was one of the superior qi refining techniques within the Infinite Sect, and his primary method of cultivation. Compared to the top-tier techniques of the qi refining stage, it merely required a slower cultivation pace. As long as he could enhance the levels of his blood spirit technique, his own realm would also rise. Chu Xian stepped forward and placed his hand on the zombie's corpse. The blood steel wire instantly burrowed into it. Sounds of unnerving munching came from within the body. Chu Xian, accustomed to such noises, was indifferent. To him, as long as it was fed, the blood steel wire was no different from a tame cat or dog. It wasn't long before the blood steel wire returned to the palm of his hand, meticulously clean. It was particular about its food, it preferred the flesh of humans the most, followed by that of demonic beasts. Thus, it appeared that zombies could indeed serve as feed for his goo. Consequently, their blood should also be viable for his cultivation techniques. Without hesitation, Chu Xian began to search for more zombies. Shortly, he found 3 more unsuspecting zombies, no, passers-by. The obedient blood steel wire quickly bound their limbs. Though restrained, the zombies remained spirited, constantly howling. Chu Xian fetched a large barrel from his storage bag and slit the zombies' throats to collect their blood. Within moments, the barrel was full. The remaining corpses were not wasted, the blood steel wire dived in and feasted. Chu Xian immediately began to practice the blood refinement spell. This spell, learned at the first level of the blood spirit technique, had no offensive power and was solely for refining blood, a mere low-tier spell of the qi refining stage. The blood before him was continuously absorbed, its impurities removed and gradually transformed into pure energy. See the ovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. After purifying the large quantity of zombie blood, all that remained were several thumb-sized blood pearls. Despite being derived from zombie blood, Chu Xian was unperturbed. Whether it was the blood of demonic beasts, goo, humans, or zombies, there was no distinction of high or low, precious or lowly. Anything that could make him stronger was valuable. He swallowed a blood pearl and began to assimilate it. Moments later, his expression brightened. It was indeed effective. He could feel his spiritual qi growing stronger inside him. At this rate, I will soon achieve the 5th level of the blood spirit technique, Chu Xian said, visibly exhilarated. The blood spirit technique, divided into 9 levels, correlates each level with the corresponding layer of qi refining. The first 3 levels of qi refining are considered the early stage, the 4th to 6th levels the middle stage, and the final 3 levels the late stage. Chu Xian, having mastered the 4th level of the blood spirit technique, was in the midst of the qi refining middle stage. Advancing to the 5th level would mark another step forward and grant him access to new spells. More importantly, zombies are not ordinary humans. Slaying zombies does not invoke the celestial retribution that typically befalls those who kill fellow humans, a fortunate oversight. Chu Xian suddenly realized that he had stumbled upon an excellent opportunity. Not only could he continue advancing his blood arts without concern, but he could also utilize goo, poison techniques, or even refine corpse puppets without needing a traditional alchemical furnace. These were numerous zombies' natural sources and readily available materials, weren't they? Moreover, with my current cultivation level, returning to the mystic azure realm would still pose numerous dangers, he pondered. Yet on this planet, I wield the power of life and death, a formidable force. Chu Xian smiled. He could well utilize the zombies here to diligently cultivate his demonic techniques. Once he had amassed sufficient power, returning to his home would not be too late. Let's continue collecting zombies, he decided. Walking along the city streets, Chu Xian soon chose a 5-story shopping mall as his temporary base. Walmart. He muttered, glancing at the sign before striding into the mall. On the first floor, numerous zombies roamed aimlessly, growling without purpose. Chu Xian's presence quickly drew their attention, and in the next moment, they charged at him. Chu Xian laughed joyfully, no rush, there's enough for everyone. Moments later, on the 5th floor, Chu Xian looked at the 6 bathtubs filled with blood before him. His face, initially weary from the bloodletting, now bore a satisfied smile. Such an abundance of blood would sustain his cultivation for a long time. However, constantly collecting blood is too tedious. Time to refine a few corpse puppets to work for me. Chu Xian scoured the mall but failed to find a suitable zombie. Refining a corpse into a corpse puppet required a body inherently strong, ideally muscular, and filled with deep resentment, which would make the corpse puppet incredibly powerful and vengeful, giving it an advantage against enemies. However, the zombies in this mall hardly fit that description. They were emaciated and feeble, their roars lacking any vitality. Such feeble noises, they really zombies? Never mind, I'll rest for now and look around the area later. There must be some robust targets nearby. Chu Xian pulled over a lounge chair and laid down, not worried about zombie attacks. The blood steel wire was always ready to protect him, reacting even faster than he could to any potential threats. Throughout the past year, each day and night had been spent in perpetual fear, evading the relentless pursuit of the righteous sections. Others perceived him as poised and unflappable, yet this demeanor was nothing more than a carefully crafted facade. This book's true home is on another platform. Check it out there for the real experience. In such dire circumstances, one needs supreme rationality and calm to survive. At last, granted a brief respite, Chu Xian could no longer contain the exhaustion that gnawed at his spirit. He succumbed to sleep. Elsewhere, outside the Walmart mall, 2 figures approached stealthily. The leader, a man with muscles coiled like dragons, was followed by a gaunt companion. In a hushed tone, the slender man said, "Brother Hu, command me as you will. If it will cure my mother, I'll do anything." A flicker of mockery crossed Tang Hu's eyes as he replied with a smile, "Rest assured, I won't send you to your death. There's still some food in this mall. You distract the zombies, I gather it. If you find yourself surrounded, do not fear, I will rescue you." The gaunt man nodded emphatically, "All right, I trust you." With that, he cautiously entered the mall, armed with a hose. Moments later, he had attracted a horde of zombies. Seizing the opportunity, Tang Hu strode into the mall, hastily stuffing cans and medicines into his backpack, items with a long shelf life and still useful if unspoiled. Suddenly, a panicked voice rang out from nearby, "Brother Hu! There are too many zombies. Help me." Surrounded by a swarm of zombies, the gaunt man's face was etched with terror. Hu, however, laughed sinisterly and continued to pack various resources into his backpack, making no move to assist. "Brother Hu! Save me!" The gaunt man's eyes were filled with desperate fury. Tang Hu chuckled darkly, "I forgot to tell you something. Your mother died yesterday. The Spirit Hounds gang won't waste medicine on a 60-year-old woman." The gaunt man's eyes widened in shock. A zombie seized the moment to pounce, sinking its teeth into his chest. "I lured you here precisely to exploit you one last time," Tang Hu sneered. "After all, I've used you many times before, this won't make much difference. Thank you for drawing the zombies away with your life. Oh, and you have a sister, right? I'll take care of her for you." By then, the gaunt man was overwhelmed by a mass of bloodthirsty zombies tearing flesh from his bones. With his last ounce of strength, he screamed, "Tang Hu! I will haunt you even in death." Tang Hu laughed heartily, "Very well, come find me when you become a ghost." As the commotion drew more zombies, Tang Hu swiftly made his way to the second floor. Many scavengers had risked the first floor of the mall, but few dared venture to the second or higher floors, where more zombies and presumably more resources awaited. Yes. Tang Hu, eyes gleaming with avarice, scoured his way up, his gaze practically shooting green beams. Thump, thump. Some zombies even leapt from higher floors, plummeting straight toward the commotion caused by the gaunt man. Greed surged within Tang Hu at the sight, and he headed straight for the fifth floor. Indeed, he encountered almost no zombies along the way. However, upon reaching the fifth floor, Tang Hu froze. Numerous zombie corpses lay scattered about. Judging by the dryness of the blood, they had died not long before. Had someone reached the fifth floor of the mall before him? Scanning the area, Tang Hu's eyes quickly landed on a lounge chair in the middle of an open space. A young man in strange attire lay upon it, deeply asleep. Around him, 6 bathtubs brimmed with blood. This bizarre scene made Tang Hu involuntarily swallow his saliva. So much food. His eyes then fell on the dozens of canned goods near the young man, and his greed intensified. He hurriedly began stuffing the cans into his backpack. See the Nelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. "You have a nice build," a calm voice suddenly sounded. Startled, Tang Hu swiftly drew his machete and swung around to strike. Clang! A metallic ring echoed, sending a numbing shock through Tang Hu's wrist, nearly causing him to drop his blade. He turned to see the young man already standing, looking at him with keen interest. The gaze was peculiar, as if he didn't regard Tang Hu as a person but rather as an object. What frightened Tang Hu even more was the sight of a blood-red worm wriggling in the young man's palm. He swallowed hard. Since the outbreak of the zombie crisis, the world had become filled with too many unknown mysteries. A person who could symbiotically live with a worm was no ordinary being. Sensing the gravity of the situation, Tang Hu wisely set down his backpack and raised his hands above his head. "Hey, man, all these belongings are yours. My brother-in-law is Zhao Hong, the boss Zhao. Let's talk this through." Chu Xian's interest was piqued at the mention of a name. "Boss Zhao, who is that?" Tang Hu, momentarily stunned, quickly responded, "Boss Zhao is the leader of the Spirit Hounds gang, the largest organization in East Lake City. His name is Zhao Hong." Chu Xian nodded. "Tell me everything you know about the area." See the Nelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. With no room to refuse, Tang Hu recounted all the information he knew. Chu Xian nodded slightly in approval. Tang Hu, trying to smile, pleaded, "Big brother, considering I've been so cooperative and for my brother-in-law's sake, could you let me go?" Chu Xian chuckled, "What I mean is, your physique is excellent, perfect for my corpse refining material." Tang Hu froze. Corpse refining? Before he could react, the blood-steel wire in Chu Xian's palm shot out, swiftly binding his limbs. Tang Hu struggled desperately, but the blood-red worm was as hard as steel and impossible to break free from. "Big brother, what are you doing?" he cried out in horror. "Refining a corpse puppet. Your robust body is most suitable for it," Chu Xian said, busying himself with preparing a concoction. "Soon I'll provoke your resentment, and you'll become a rigid corpse soldier." He was using a secret technique known as the Vajra corpse refining method from the corpse puppet sect. Unfortunately, the sect hadn't been very formidable and was eliminated early on by an alliance of righteous sections. Most of their heritage fell into the hands of these righteous sects, while a portion was absorbed by the Infinite Sect. Regardless of the method, the basic product of any corpse refining process was known as a corpse soldier. Higher levels included corpse general, corpse commanders, and corpse king, each corresponding to increasing cultivation stages, mirroring the levels of cultivators, with each tier divided into 9 grades. The Vajra corpse refining method focused on tempering the physical body. Zombie soldiers refined this way were impervious to blades and possessed immense strength, capable of contending with cultivators at the Qi refining stage. Previously, Chu Xian had found it challenging to perform corpse refining due to the lengthy time required and the potential for disruptions. Since he couldn't stay in one place for long, he had been forced to abandon the idea of refining corpses. Chu Xian retrieved a large barrel from his storage bag and poured various concoctions into it. He then tossed Tang Hu, who was tightly bound, into the barrel, submerging him completely, including his head. Tang Hu's voice gradually quieted. Following this, Chu Xian solemnly slit his palm, squeezing out 2 drops of his essence blood, and let them fall into the barrel. His complexion was noticeably paler. Essence blood was not like ordinary blood. Even though his cultivation of the blood spirit technique accelerated the condensation of essence blood, it was not something that could be replenished overnight. Now, we just need to wait, Chu Xian murmured. According to the Vajra corpse refining method, results should be visible within 3 days at most. Chu Xian reclined on a nearby lounge chair, voraciously devouring cans of tuna he had found while hunting zombies. The cans were still within their expiration date. Unlawfully taken from Royal Road, this story should be reported if seen on Amazon. Damn, modern industrial food is delicious, he exclaimed. What have I been eating at the Infinite Sect? It was so bland I could cry. He sighed deeply, grateful to finally taste something befitting a human after so many years. 3 days later, Chu Xian stood before the large barrel with a look of anticipation. He observed the figure inside, now pitch black and rigid all over, its physique noticeably bulkier than before. Bone armor had sprouted densely at the chest, joints, and back, providing formidable defense. Chu Xian tested it with a thrown dagger, which left only a superficial mark. Joy surged in his heart, knowing he had succeeded. The corpse puppet before him had attained the rank of corpse soldier, equivalent to a Qi refining stage cultivator. I wonder about the quality of this corpse puppet, Chu Xian pondered. The quality of corpse puppets was classified into 4 grades: superior, high, middle, and low. The better the concoction used in the refining process, the higher the quality of the resulting corpse puppet. A superior quality corpse puppet could master 4 spells upon creation, a high quality 3, a middle quality 2, and a low quality only 1. Back when Chu Xian was still with the Infinite Sect, he had heard of a golden core elder who, during his Qi refining stage, had fortuitously refined a superior quality corpse puppet that knew 4 spells from birth. It was with this corpse puppet's aid that the elder gradually ascended the path of cultivation and eventually reached the golden core stage. Chu Xian retrieved a small, dark tower known as the Corpse Nurturing Tower. This magic tool was specifically designed for capturing and cultivating corpses. Each corpse nurturing tower came equipped with a spell to assess the quality and level of a corpse. Chu Xian's tower, acquired at a low price from a disheartened middle-aged disciple, was merely a low-grade magic tool. It possessed no offensive or defensive capabilities, serving solely to nurture corpses. He had always carried it with him, prepared for any eventuality. Now was the time to use it. At the thought, Chu Xian absorbed the newly formed corpse soldier into the corpse nurturing tower. Inside, the abundant yin qi invigorated the corpse, which eagerly absorbed it in deep gulps. Chu Xian infused a thread of spiritual qi to activate the appraisal technique. A beam of black light illuminated the corpse, and a flicker of golden light emerged from its crown. Chu Xian was surprised, a middle-grade second-level corpse soldier? Not bad at all. For his first attempt at corpse refining, using rather ordinary concoctions, he had managed to create a middle-grade corpse, a stroke of luck indeed. He continued using the appraisal technique and quickly learned the 2 spells the corpse puppet possessed, Bloodthirst technique and Golden Light spell. The Bloodthirst technique allowed it to enter a berserk state, significantly boosting its combat capabilities but only for a quarter of an hour. Afterward, it would fall into a state of weakness for 10 hours. The Golden Light spell, as its name suggested, coated the user in a protective golden light, enhancing its defenses. Together, these spells made the zombie a perfect tank. Though it was only a second-level corpse soldier, equivalent to a chi refining second-stage cultivator, the combined effects of its spells could likely allow it to contend with a fourth-stage chi refining cultivator for a short time. Whether used as a decoy to attract enemy fire or as a protective measure in dangerous situations, it was exceedingly useful. Chu Xian felt a rush of satisfaction. This apocalyptic planet truly was a splendid place. In just 3 days, he had already acquired a corpse soldier as his trump card, effectively doubling his strength compared to 3 days ago. Pity the materials for refining corpse puppets are rare, otherwise I would definitely refine another one, Chu Xian mused, smacking his lips. With a casual wave of his hand, the obedient corpse soldier approached and awaited his commands. This was the benefit of the 2 drops of essence blood he had added to the concoction. As long as the corpse puppet was well fed, it would faithfully follow his commands without turning against him. A second-level corpse soldier should have no trouble sweeping through this mall, Chu Xian declared. It's all yours. With a dismissive wave, he reclined comfortably back on the lounge chair. The corpse soldier growled and dashed out. Almost immediately, the mall echoed with terrifying roars and the sound of flesh being torn apart, followed by the clanging of objects being smashed. Chu Xian, unfazed, continued enjoying his canned food while leisurely flipping through ancient texts. After all, isn't the essence of being a demonic cultivator to live freely and at ease? In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed, and Chu Xian was heartily devouring a steaming bowl of shrimp and fish cake noodles, thoroughly enjoying the indulgence. Instant noodles could grow tiresome if eaten daily, yet their unique flavor was missed when not partaken of for a while. For Chu Xian, who had spent decades in a world of cultivation, these flavors were sorely nostalgic. At that moment, a fire burned vigorously in front of him. After quickly finishing his noodles, Chu Xian used 2 sticks to retrieve an object from the dying embers, the blood mirror, which showed no signs of damage from the flames and seemed even brighter than before. Chu Xian glanced at the scene within the mirror, clear skies and beautiful landscapes, exactly where he had first crossed over. Now, the image was a fifth brighter. Once fully illuminated, he should be able to cross back. He had discovered that the blood mirror could automatically absorb various forms of energy from its surroundings, spiritual qi, evil qi, yin qi, and even mundane energy like biological, thermal, light, and electrical energies. Throwing the mirror into the fire had been a way to harness thermal energy. At this rate, another month should suffice to fully charge it. Meanwhile, an excited growl sounded nearby. It was the corpse soldier, now named Hu, returning with 2 gasoline cans. He had been out hunting zombies and had also been tasked with finding fuel. Initially struggling with the task, Hu had gradually come to understand and execute his instructions effectively. Chu Xian looked at Hu, now even more formidable and robust than before, and nodded in satisfaction. Hu, well done. At his praise, the corpse puppet humbly lowered its head, allowing Chu Xian to pat it. The name Hu was the result of deep contemplation by Chu Xian, certainly not a hasty choice derived from any original name. Absolutely not. In just 2 days, Hu had cleared all the zombies from the Walmart mall. Those that looked healthy and spirited were captured and bled dry. The ones with good meat quality were used as feed for the blood steel wire. The listless, less lively ones became nourishment for Hu himself. From the 3rd day, Hu started clearing the zombies from the surrounding shops and residences, using the mall as his base. Over 5 days, he had progressed from a 2nd level to a 3rd level corpse soldier. Although still only comparable to a 3rd stage chi refining cultivator in rank, Hu's sheer physical strength and overwhelming resentment meant that any low-level cultivator without many spells who got too close would likely end up dead or severely injured. What should I do with you? A bit early for you to be forming cocoons. Chu Xian smiled helplessly as he observed the blood steel wire appearing lethargic, perhaps due to consuming too much zombie blood. Just this morning, he had awakened to find it showing signs of cocooning, a process indicating that the blood steel wire was about to learn a natural spell and significantly increase in strength. This was excellent news for him. The blood steel wire was a type of goo insect relatively easy to obtain, which meant its potential was somewhat limited. It could cocoon only twice. Each cocooning was akin to rebirth, earning it the nickname Twice Reborn Goo, capable of learning 2 inherent spells. The author's content has been appropriated. Report any instances of this story on Amazon. Naturally, the potential of a goo insect wasn't fixed, given fortuitous encounters with certain rare natural treasures, and consuming them could prompt further transformations. Chu Xian's frustration stemmed from not yet having started cultivating such rare natural treasures. "Go capture a couple of lively zombies," he commanded with a wave of his hand. The corpse soldier roared enthusiastically and leapt away, vanishing from sight. In less than 10 minutes, it reappeared, each of its robust arms clutching a fiercely struggling, spirited zombie. Chu Xian nodded approvingly. "Gag them, tie them up, and throw them in the corner." The corpse soldier clumsily followed the orders but soon had the zombies secured. Striding over, Chu Xian pulled out a small knife and began to carve blood holes into the limbs and torsos of the captured zombies. He then retrieved a cultivation pouch from his storage bag and filled it with tiny red seeds, which upon contacting the flesh, quickly took root. Within the blink of an eye, they sprouted 1 centimeter long tender red shoots with sharp, triangular leaves, a sinister crimson that fluttered in the breeze like the fangs of a demonic beast, a chilling sight. These mystical plants were known as bloodfiend fangs. They thrived on flesh and blood rather than spiritual qi. It would take a month for them to bloom and bear fruit, the blood fang fruit, which was precisely what the blood steel wire needed for its cocooning. Consuming these fruits would significantly enhance its speed and strength, and potentially allow it to learn an exceptional natural spell. The more blood fang fruits consumed, the higher the likelihood of acquiring a superior natural spell. Armed with years of dedicated study of the Goo scriptures, Chu Xian was intimately familiar with these details and prepared to leverage this knowledge to its fullest. See the ovalfire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Thanks to the generous and unwitting contribution of the surrounding zombies, Chu Xian's cultivation had smoothly advanced to the 6th level of qi refining. Who, too, had progressed admirably, reaching the 5th level of corpse soldier. Finally matured, Chu Xian remarked with a smile as he approached the 2 zombies, now barely more than husks. The branches of the bloodfiend fangs bore heavy fruit. Over the month, Chu Xian had fed the zombies chunks of zombie meat every other day to keep them alive, ensuring a continuous supply of nutrients for the bloodfiend fangs. Still, the zombies were now withered and emaciated, their flesh thoroughly drained by the plants. Chu Xian quickly harvested the blood fang fruit, leaving the desiccated corpse puppets for Hu to utilize as a scrappy lunch. Hu munched happily on the side. Chu Xian examined the 10 thumb-sized blood fang fruits in his palm with amazement. Back when the Infinite Sect was still in existence, there had been specialists within the sect who cultivated these fruits. However, they were exorbitantly priced, costing 20 sect contribution points each, equivalent to at least 80 small spiritual stones. He hadn't had many spiritual stones back then and certainly couldn't afford to buy blood fang fruits. But now, these fruits, worth a total of 800 small spiritual stones, lay quietly in his palm, a fortune far exceeding anything he had owned in the past. A never-ending supply of resources, indeed a splendid place, Chu Xian mused, feeling sentimental as he brought the blood fang fruits to Blood Steel Wire's mouth. With a few eager swallows, Blood Steel Wire consumed all 10 fruits and then settled into a deep slumber. No matter how Chu Xian prodded, it remained motionless, its surface soon enveloped by a reddish-brown blood cocoon. Clearly, it had begun its true transformation. In no more than 10 days, Blood Steel Wire will emerge from its cocoon, transformed into a once-reborn goo with its own innate spells. Chu Xian pondered the future. By then, I should also consider returning to see about replenishing spiritual plant seeds and exchanging some spiritual stones for setting up formations. Looks like it's time to see if I can glean some resources from my senior brothers, Chu Xian thought, eyeing the hundreds of blood pearls in his storage bag. These were the results of his daily practice of the blood refinement technique on zombie blood. Blood pearls were a significant tonic for cultivation, an irresistible temptation for any demonic cultivator. 10 days later, the blood steel wire successfully emerged from its cocoon. Chu Xian inspected it closely and noticed that after its transformation, it had grown larger and its outer skin had become even tougher. He casually picked up an iron rod and with a flick of his hand, the blood-steel wire shot out, slicing the rod into two with ease. Chu Xian nodded in approval. "Let's see what innate spell you've acquired," he said, prompting the blood-steel wire with a thought. Instantly, the wire shot forward, binding Hu, tightening so fiercely that even Hu's colossal strength couldn't break free. "Blood binding!" Chu Xian exclaimed, recognizing the control-type spell. It was one of the best possible spells the blood-steel wire could have learned after its transformation. Originally, the wire wasn't known for its strength or lethal capabilities but rather for its defensive talents. Chu Xian hadn't expected it to become an offensive powerhouse. The acquisition of the blood binding was exactly what he had hoped for. His skill tree had evolved correctly. "Alright, that's enough, come back," Chu Xian said with a smile, and the blood-steel wire swiftly returned to rest in the palm of his hand. Hu, now wary of another binding, kept a respectful distance, fearful of being ensnared once again. Chu Xian affectionately patted the small head of the blood-steel wire, pleased with its performance. "It's been almost 2 months since I arrived on this planet," he mused. "I've used up all the corpse puppet refining materials I had, and I need to return to the mystic azure realm to gather more." He contemplated further strategies. It would be wise to refine a few more corpse soldiers. After I leave this place, I should have several to guard this area. Additionally, he considered the possibility of acquiring a set of array discs and flags for the blood refining array, a formation ideally suited for demonic cultivators to perform large-scale blood sacrifices. The simplest blood refining array could even be managed by a chi refining stage cultivator, while more advanced versions required deeper knowledge in array formations. Chu Xian recalled that the leader of the corpse puppet sect had once used a city's worth of 300,000 souls to perform a soul-stealing blood refining array, creating a powerful blood pearl. Consumed by the sect's young master, it dramatically accelerated his cultivation, chi refining in a day, foundation establishment within 100 days, reaching the 9th level in just 3 years, a prodigy who overshadowed even the most talented cultivators at the foundation establishment stage. However, such grievous acts did not go unnoticed and soon brought destruction upon the corpse puppet sect from the 5 major righteous sects. If I could deploy a blood refining array here on this planet, Chu Xian thought, my cultivation would skyrocket. While reaching the foundation establishment within 100 days was perhaps an exaggeration, doing so within a year seemed entirely feasible. After having Hu tidy up the area, Chu Xian went to the rooftop of the Walmart Mall to activate the blood mirror. The narrative has been illicitly obtained. Should you discover it on Amazon, report the violation. After months away, it's finally time to go back. Chu Xian's face was marked by a wistful expression, a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. The last time he had left, he was merely at the 4th level of chi refining, and his only possession had been a single blood steel wire. In less than 2 months, he had advanced to the 6th level. His blood steel wire had undergone its first transformation, and he now commanded a 5th level corpse soldier. With such combat prowess, he could easily crush cultivators at the 7th level of chi refining and even had a 70 to 80% chance of victory against those at the 8th level. Chu Xian took a deep breath and connected his thoughts to the blood mirror. In the blink of an eye, he was absorbed into the mirror. To any onlooker, it would appear as if he had vanished into thin air, evaporated from the mortal realm. In East Lake City, Haotai Hotel once ranked among the finest hotels in the city. Several years after the zombie outbreak, it had become the stronghold of the Spirit Hounds gang. Atop the highest floor of the Haotai Hotel, a lean, dark-skinned man lay on a sun lounger on the rooftop, soaking up the sunlight. This was Zhao Hong, the leader of the Spirit Hounds gang. Flanking him were 2 voluptuous women who were carefully massaging his legs and shoulders. In a nearby cage, a formidable black-backed wolfhound sat coiled. Even in a sitting position, it measured over 3 meters in length, its physique more robust than a bull. Menacing light flickered in its eyes, and drool flowed from its mouth, indicating its hunger. Beneath the lounger, a burly man knelt trembling, barely daring to breathe loudly. Zhao Hong rolled over and said calmly, "Ling Tao, You assured me that you would find out how Tang who disappeared within half a month. It's nearly 2 months now. Ling Tao hurriedly spoke, boss, brother who disappeared at the Walmart Mall, which has become very dangerous, possibly due to the emergence of high-level zombies. I've lost 2 men already who were sent to scout the area. Boss, you can't blame me. I never imagined that high-level zombies would be there. Ling Tao crawled closer to Zhao Hong, clutching at his legs and weeping bitterly. Only you can handle a high-level zombie, boss. Zhao Hong sat up slightly and reached out to gently caress Ling Tao's face, smiling slightly. It's not your fault, nobody knew there would be high-level zombies there. Ling Tao was deeply moved. Thank you, boss. Thank you. Feed Dahe for me, he's been hungry for a long time, Zhao Hong said casually. Yes, yes. Ling Tao hurriedly walked to the side, fetched a large bag of dog food, and was about to pour it into that wolf dog's food bowl. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The black-backed wolf dog remained utterly still, drool streaming freely from its mouth. Zhao Hong snapped his fingers crisply. Dahe, eat. With a howl, the wolf dog burst forth from the iron cage, clamping its jaws around Ling Tao's arms. A sharp crack resounded as Ling Tao's arms broke cleanly at the elbows, blood spurting wildly. Ah! Ah! Boss! Ling Tao screamed in agony, the severe pain of losing his arms clouding his ability to think. Zhao Hong frowned. How many times must I say it? Kill by crushing the windpipe directly, don't make such a bloody mess. The wolf dog, silent, sprang forward in a swift motion and severed Ling Tao's throat with its teeth, finally indulging in its feast. Zhao Hong's expression turned to one of satisfaction. The 2 women by his side had already lost control, nearly collapsing to the ground. No need to worry. With your slender arms and legs, Dahe couldn't possibly be satisfied, Zhao Hong sneered casually. Upon hearing this, the 2 women fainted in fright. Zhao Hong nonchalantly pressed a nearby bell. Ding, ding, ding. Soon, a burly man hurried up from downstairs. He bowed respectfully, careful not to stare at the wolf dog reveling in its meal. Boss, what do you need? Zhao Hong offhandedly said, bring Daho and Erho, get the car, and head to the Walmart. Right away, sir, the burly man nodded respectfully. Moments later, outside the Houthai Hotel, 2 strong men struggled to push open the grand doors. A van sped away, its entirety reinforced with sturdy iron mesh. Spikes of steel adorned the front and roof. As it moved, ordinary zombies were simply flung aside. Unless it met tens of thousands of zombies, it was the most dazzling presence on the streets. Chapter 7, A Policy of Look But Don't Touch Plus, Turn Off Reset. The Houthai Hotel was a mere 3 kilometers from the Walmart. Yet, this journey was no longer through a society with flowing traffic, but rather through a city at the end of the day, overrun with zombies. The streets were cluttered with abandoned vehicles and toppled billboards, and the path was anything but clear, fraught with myriad obstacles. It took a van a full 2 hours to finally reach the supermarket. The car door swung open with a whoosh. Zhao Hong alighted swiftly, followed by 3 dogs, Dahe, Daho, and Erho, the most loyal, cunning, and ferocious of his spirit hounds. Zhao Hong cast a skeptical glance around. His vision and hearing, far superior to that of ordinary men, easily discerned something unsettling near the supermarket, an eerie quietude, devoid of even the faintest growl of zombies, with only the occasional scurrying of rats. He was no stranger to territories ruled by high-level zombies, but such desolation and silence were unprecedented. Let's go in and have a look, he suggested, pointing towards the Walmart supermarket. At his command, the spirit hounds growled softly and advanced into the supermarket via 3 different paths. Shortly after, their howls echoed through the building. Zhao Hong furrowed his brow. Experienced in the nuances of canine sounds from his days in the dog business, he knew these barks signaled no danger. Leave someone with the car, and come up with me, he said casually. Yes, replied a sturdy man, stepping out of the car with bolstered courage to lead the way. Soon, Zhao Hong and his companion reached the 5th floor of the supermarket unimpeded. The scene before him made his heart skip a beat. 5 years had passed since the outbreak of the zombies, and he had grown accustomed to sights of gore. However, this bizarre spectacle was new to him. Throughout the supermarket, from the first to the 5th floor, were scattered bits and pieces of zombie flesh. It was the height of summer when flies should swarm, yet none dared approach this place. The sight on the 5th floor was particularly dreadful. Several large bathtubs lay there, each containing only a layer of dried, black-red blood filled with impurities. In a nearby corner, 2 desiccated, emaciated zombies lay, their bodies riddled with holes from which red plants sprouted, though now these plants were all dead, having seemingly sucked dry all the nutrients from the zombies. A tightness gripped Zhao Hong's chest at this chilling discovery. "Boss, what should we do now?" The stalwart man beside him trembled visibly. "Are you cold?" Zhao Hong suddenly asked. The man shivered, "Cold, very cold. The temperature here is very low." A sense of dread inexplicably rose in Zhao Hong's heart. The outside temperature was at least 30 degrees. Yet, inside the Walmart, he felt chilled to the bone. This was utterly abnormal. This book was originally published on Royal Road. Check it out there for the real experience. Zhao Hong knew well that one must not linger in places that defy normalcy. "Let's go." He dared not stay any longer and turned to leave. Once back in the car, he slowly regained his composure. "Did you bring gasoline?" Zhao Hong, lighting a cigarette and exhaling rings of smoke, suddenly asked. "Yes, boss." "Your orders?" Both men nodded. "Burn this shit place down," Zhao Hong said calmly. "Yes." Moments later, thick, black smoke billowed above the Walmart. The piercing chill seemed to dissipate with the flames. Zhao Hong's anxiety finally eased. "Let's go back." He casually flicked his unfinished cigarette out of the car window, propped up his legs, and said. The van started again and soon vanished into the streets. In the lush forests outside Green River City in the mystic azure realm of Yu country, the empty space suddenly twisted. In the blink of an eye, a figure appeared out of nowhere, startling the birds atop the trees and scaring away the squirrels on the branches. "I'm back." Chu Xian surveyed his surroundings, took a deep breath, and smiled. The air here was filled with spiritual qi, far fresher than that of the apocalyptic planet. "First, I need to ascertain whether the flow of time is consistent between the two realms," he mused. "The second task is to acquire materials for corpse refinement and seeds for numerous spiritual plants. The third matter is to locate the covert trading hubs of demonic cultivators from the Infinite Sect and the Corpse Puppet Sect, to purchase the blood refining array." Having formulated his plan, Chu Xian immediately donned a human skin mask and transformed his appearance from a stern-looking young man to a formidable, bald-headed fellow. Search *the novel_fire. At website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Although facial transformation was considered an unconventional art, Chu Xian had escaped many perils using it. Now, disguising himself had become second nature. "I recall that 300 miles south of Green River City, there is a canyon rich in spiritual qi, where a marketplace is situated," Chu Xian mused. He drew forth a flying sword and set off toward the south of Green River City. This flying sword, a lower-grade flying magical tool, traveled at a speed of 300 miles per hour, consuming one small spiritual stone for every 1,000 miles traveled. It was a second-hand magical tool he had once purchased from the Infinite Sect. Both its speed and consumption were mediocre. Should he acquire surplus spirit stones in the future, he certainly intended to invest in a superior flying magical tool. An hour later, Chu Xian arrived at the marketplace. "Peace Market," he announced as he strode into the market. 1,000 miles further south of Peace Market lay the mountain gate of the Divine Star Sect, one of the 5 major orthodox sects of Yu country. Naturally, the small marketplace was not directly controlled by the Divine Star Sect but was managed by cultivating families under the sect, mostly established by Foundation establishment stage cultivators from the Divine Star Sect who had little hope of advancing. Offspring born into these families, once identified as having spiritual roots, were immediately sent to the Divine Star Sect for cultivation, thereby strengthening their families. Peace Market was controlled by the Wu family, whose patriarch was a nearly 200-year-old Foundation establishment stage cultivator. The cultivators who came here to sell and trade were mostly at the initial or middle stages of qi refining, even those at the later stages were rare. Chu Xian was well aware of all this intelligence before he arrived. As a demon cultivator often targeted by others, venturing blindly into unknown territories without such information could lead to dire consequences. Upon arriving at Peace Market, Chu Xian did not rush to purchase the items he needed. Cultivators, with their extended lifespans, knew well how to overcharge newcomers. His unfamiliar face appearing for the first time would surely prompt the sellers to inflate their prices. Thus, he decided to stay for a few days. For the initial days, he adopted a strategy of looking much and buying nothing. Chu Xian found a tea house catering to cultivators, ordered a pot of spiritual tea, sat, and quietly sipped, listening to the conversations around him. Cultivator discussions were not like those of ordinary people, who speak without restraint. Some were quite cautious, even using spiritual qi to mask their speech. As a qi refining stage cultivator, eavesdropping on others' conversations was challenging, but Chu Xian had a unique advantage: each of his ears harbored a listening insect. These tiny creatures amplified his hearing, allowing him to catch much of what was said around him. Chu Xian's ears twitched, and he glanced towards a nearby table where two qi refining stage cultivators were sitting opposite each other. The lean cultivator inquired, "Fellow Daoist, are there any bounty tasks in Peace Market? I'm a bit short on spiritual stones." The burly cultivator replied, "Yes, there's one helping the Divine Star Sect find remnants of the Infinite Sect. Finding one yields 300 small spiritual stones. By the way, Elder Sun from the Divine Star Sect mentioned that if anyone finds Chu Xian from the Infinite Sect, who is at the qi refining stage, they'll give 400 small spiritual stones." Still not found? It's been 6 days already. That guy is as slippery as an eel, not so easy to catch. Elder Sun once led a group of qi refining disciples to surround him, and he still managed to escape. I heard he's only at the 4th level of qi refining. I could easily crush him in a one-on-one fight. Don't underestimate him. I've heard that although Chu Xian has mediocre talent, he's a master of poisons and goo insects. 2 cultivators at the 5th level of qi refining from the Divine Star Sect have already fallen to him. Maybe I should change my target then, he's too slippery to catch. Ha, just say you're scared. The lean cultivator's face reddened, veins bulging on his forehead as he retorted, "Nonsense. Those who wish to tread the way of cultivation must be alive. How can a cultivator be called fearful?" What followed was a series of profound utterances about the way of caution and seeking fortune and avoiding disaster, prompting laughter from the burly cultivator. The atmosphere around was filled with mirth. Chu Xian, overhearing this, wore a bizarre expression. 6 days. It had been only 6 days since he killed He Liang and escaped the encirclement of the Divine Star Sect cultivators. By such estimates, the time-flow ratio between the mystic Azure realm and the apocalyptic planet was about 1 to 10. That meant, in the eyes of the cultivators here, he had advanced from the 4th to the 6th level of qi refining in just 6 days, a miraculous feat of cultivation. Even daily immersion in medicinal baths couldn't achieve such rapid progress. Blood mirror, truly a precious treasure. Chu Xian sipped his tea broadly smiling. 2 more days passed. Chu Xian had thoroughly explored Peace Market, becoming familiar with every stall owner. Only then did he approach a large shop. 100 Herbs Pavilion, specializing in spiritual plants. After comparing several shops, Chu Xian found this one to offer the best value for money. Before long, he walked out of 100 Herbs Pavilion, satisfied with the variety of spiritual plant seeds he had purchased. He also mixed in some materials for corpse refining. The shopkeeper, seeing his substantial purchases, even threw in some extras. Chu Xian wondered if the shopkeeper would have recoiled in horror and retracted the gifts had he known he was dealing with a demon cultivator. After acquiring various items, Chu Xian made his way to a nondescript stall in the marketplace with practiced ease. Setting up a stall here was straightforward, just spread a cloth on the ground and lay out the wares. Those who were more particular might use a wooden sign to mark prices next to their items. The goods on this stall were nothing special, hardly worth a second glance, except for a withered white herb that caught Xianxia's eye. See the Nelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Support the creativity of authors by visiting Royal Road for this novel and more. Bonegrass. This spiritual plant demanded extremely harsh growing conditions. It thrived only in the burial bone cave of the Infinite Sect, withering immediately if transplanted elsewhere. After the fall of the Infinite Sect, its disciples scattered, and Xian agreed on secret signs and tokens with a few close peers for future contact. Bonegrass was one of these tokens. Xian squatted down in front of the stall owner, picking up one item, then another. The stall owner, an experienced cultivator, quickly grew impatient. Buy if you're going to buy, otherwise get lost and stop touching everything. Xian picked up a fruit and smiled, fellow Taoist, how much for this pool dragon fruit? The stall owner replied nonchalantly, 2 small spiritual stones each. Xian smiled slightly, is the skin made of gold, or is it the flesh? The stall owner paused, then shook his head, there are no pool dragon fruits around anymore. These I picked up from the ruins after the Infinite Sect was gone. If you think it's expensive, so do I. Xian's smile widened, are these fruits guaranteed ripe? The stall owner's eyes brightened, these are of average quality, but if you're willing to pay a higher price, I have better ones. Xian nodded, good, lead the way. The stall owner quickly packed up his worn cloth and items into his storage bag and led Xian away. Although Xian followed, he remained alert, watching and listening to everything around them. The two left Peace Market and soon reached a secluded spot under some trees. The experienced cultivator lowered his voice, which senior brother are you? Xian replied calmly, He Liang. The cultivator was startled, He Liang? That traitor has been dead for a while. Xian then relaxed and nodded, Xian. The older cultivator became excited, Senior brother Chu. Is it really you? Xian nodded slightly, and you are? The cultivator took a deep breath and quickly said, Chenggu, I entered the Infinite Sect in the same batch as you. This token and password were taught to me by senior brother Wei Hua. Xian nodded. Wei Hua, ranked 12th among the inner disciples, had always been on good terms with him. How is Wei Hua doing? Xian asked casually. Chenggu spoke softly, senior brother Wei is still recovering from his injuries, and Uncle Master Lu and the others are all at the Wu family. Xian chuckled silently. Among the Foundation establishment stage cultivators of the Infinite Sect, only one bore the surname Lu Zhenxiong. Uncle Master Lu referred to Lu Zhenxiong himself. Unexpectedly, these Infinite Sect cultivators were residing directly within the Wu family's territory. No wonder the Divine Star sect had been unable to find them. They would never have imagined that right under their noses was the perfect hiding spot for demon cultivators. Chenggu earnestly said, Senior brother Chu, why don't you join us? We, the cultivators of the Infinite Sect, must stick together to survive. Xian shook his head, having many people makes us a big target. I just came to buy some items. Chenggu appeared somewhat disappointed, but he nodded, what are you looking to buy, senior brother? The blood refining array. Chenggu was surprised, the blood refining array? What do you need that for? The 5 righteous sects are currently cracking down on any killings of mortals. You might barely activate the blood refining array before the righteous cultivators come knocking. Xian just smiled, do you have it? Chenggu nodded, I remember senior brother Wei has one, and it can be bought for a medium spiritual stone. Here's what we'll do, you wait outside the Wu family, and I'll get the item for you. Xian gave a slight nod. The two approached the Wu family's location quickly. Established in a valley rich in spiritual qi, with buildings every few steps, a veritable small kingdom, the Wu family's estate was formidable. Xian stopped at a distance and tossed over a low-grade storage bag. This contains 1 medium spiritual stone for the blood refining array. Additionally, there are 30 blood pearls. Exchange them for spiritual stones at the old rate. Qingge, delighted by the offer, quickly accepted. Great, we are currently in need of blood pearls. He promptly stored the items. Please wait here, senior brother, I will be back shortly. With that, he hurried towards the Wu family estate. Chapter 9, Thunderous Decisiveness, 3 men downed in an instant. Plus, turn off reset. Chu Xian didn't linger at the original spot but immediately left, climbing up a nearby hill and hiding behind rocks. In such times, betrayal could come from anyone. The only person he could truly trust was himself. Soon after, Qingge briskly walked out of the Wu family residence and returned to the original spot under the trees. However, there was no sign of Chu Xian, and he couldn't help but look puzzled. Chu Xian did not reveal himself immediately but carefully observed his surroundings and listened for any slight sound. Growing anxious, Qingge called out in a low voice, "Senior brother Chu, where are you?" After waiting a while longer, Chu Xian finally showed himself, causing Qingge to sigh in relief. He quickly understood why Chu Xian had chosen to leave the original spot. Few demon cultivators who had survived the pursuit of the 5 orthodox sects were foolish enough to easily trust others. Without much ado, Qingge pulled a formation plate and flags from his storage bag and handed them over. Chu Xian examined them briefly and nodded slightly. This was indeed the blood refining array. The basic version of the array was just a mid-grade magical tool, manageable even by chi refining stage cultivators. However, stacking additional layers to create complex formations like the soul-stealing blood refining array or the evil condensation blood refining array would catapult it into the realm of treasures, controllable only by golden core stage cultivators. The difficulty of setup and the materials required would increase 100-fold. Senior brother Chu, are you sure you won't join us? Qingge couldn't help but ask again. Uncle Master Lu has been very good to us. When we last retreated to the Wu family estate, he covered our retreat. Chu Xian shook his head, no. He then turned and left, showing no interest in lingering. The remnants of the Infinite Sect were thorns in the sides of the orthodox sects, and being associated with Lu Zhenxiong, though seemingly an advantage, actually painted a bigger target on their backs. If danger came, Lu Zhenxiong might escape, but chi refining stage cultivators like himself would not have it so easy. He couldn't entrust his life to others. With the blood refining array in hand, Chu Xian felt a surge of relief. His next task was to find a safe place to fully charge the blood mirror. Once he returned to the apocalyptic planet, he would set up the blood refining array and rapidly advance his cultivation. However, just over 20 miles away from the Wu family, Chu Xian sensed something amiss. Indeed, several streaks of light appeared, swiftly blocking his path on both sides. 3 figures emerged, clad in snow-white robes with gold sword-shaped embroidery at the collar and sleeves, a uniform that Chu Xian recognized all too well. They were chi refining stage disciples of the Divine Star Sect. What brings the 3 of you here? Chu Xian asked, his face clouded with confusion. The trio scrutinized him briefly. The middle-aged cultivator at the forefront spoke calmly, by the command of Uncle Master Sun, it has been decreed that no one may enter or exit within 50 miles of the Wu family estate, lest remnants of the Infinite Sect are harbored therein. Chu Xian feigned astonishment, exclaiming, remnants of the Infinite Sect? But I am merely an honest loose cultivator. This narrative has been purloined without the author's approval. Report any appearances on Amazon. The middle-aged cultivator replied impatiently, I care not whether you're a loose or a demon cultivator, today, no one shall pass this junction. If you value your life, stay put. Once Uncle Master Sun has ascertained that the Wu family harbors no affiliations with the Infinite Sect, you, being uninvolved, shall remain unharmed. With a placating smile, Chu Xian nodded vigorously, very well, I am willing to cooperate. Seeing his submissive demeanor, the middle-aged cultivator smirked arrogantly, that's right, loose cultivators like you ought to obey. SEA the novel_fire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian gave an awkward smile. Just then, 2 streaks of light shot across the sky at a breathtaking speed. Lifting an eyebrow, Chu Xian ventured, "Could that be the esteemed Xianxia of your sect?" With a sly chuckle, the middle-aged cultivator confirmed, "Indeed. With 2 foundation establishment stage uncle masters stepping forward, they will surely turn the Wu estate inside out." Chu Xian nodded. Xianxia was the very person who had led the encirclement against him in Green River City. He remembered it vividly. Had he not been cautious and disguised himself with He Liang's face, he might well have been a corpse by now. Suddenly, Chu Xian spoke up, "Just the 3 of you? If there truly are remnants of the infinite sect within the Wu estate, can you 3 manage to hold this position?" The cultivator scoffed, "The remnants of the infinite sect are but defeated soldiers. The 3 of us possess at least the strength of the 5th level of Qi refining, ample to guard this pass and stop any Qi refining stage demonic cultivators. As for any foundation establishment stage demonic cultivators, they shall be dealt with by Uncle Master Sun and the others." Chu Xian nodded again. The next moment, he suddenly pointed behind the middle-aged cultivator and cried out in alarm, "Watch out!" Startled, the cultivator thought an attack from the infinite sect was coming from behind. He swiftly turned around, readying his magical tool for defense. The other 2 cultivators did likewise, spinning around in alarm. However, there was nothing behind them, no sign of any infinite sect demonic cultivators. A ghastly roar then tore through the air. One of the Divine Star Sect disciples grimaced in agony as he looked down to discover his chest grotesquely torn open by a dark, formidable claw, his heart gruesomely excavated. The other disciple reacted swiftly, creating distance before immediately directing his heavenly star sword at Chu Xian. Every disciple of the Qi refining stage at the Divine Star Sect was issued such a sword, a standard armament. However, this disciple's swordsmanship was evidently lackluster. The heavenly star sword zigzagged clumsily towards Chu Xian, slow as an elderly man. Chu Xian did not even need to make a move himself, who charged forward in a flash and sent the sword flying with a sharp clang. The corpse's claw, swift as lightning, slashed across the neck of the cultivator in an instant. Blood spurted dramatically as a head was severed cleanly, its eyes still wide with confusion. The middle-aged cultivator reacted more quickly, immediately summoning a small shield for protection. However, a streak of blood had already traced across Chu Xian's palm. Sensing danger, the cultivator attempted to dodge, but his speed was no match for the blood-steel wire. With a crisp snap, his right arm was severed cleanly at the root. The shield clattered to the ground as blood gushed forth like a fountain. The middle-aged cultivator screamed in agony and staggered back in terror, but Chu Xian gave him no chance for recovery. Once again, he manipulated the blood-steel wire, while Hu pounced fiercely from behind. Caught between attacks from front and back, he stood no chance. His heart was pierced by Hu, and his throat was slit by the blood-steel wire, culminating in his immediate death. This scene, though described slowly, occurred in the blink of an eye. Within mere moments, 3 Qi refining stage cultivators were slain by Chu Xian. Exhaling a heavy breath, Chu Xian felt invigorated. Even he had not anticipated such an enhancement in his strength. His opponents were 3 Qi refining stage cultivators, all at least at the 5th level of Qi refining, with the middle-aged leader at the 7th level, higher than himself. Yet now, they had been effortlessly dispatched by him. There's no time to linger. Quickly, Chu Xian collected the storage bags and magic tools from the 3, then vanished into the vast wilderness. He chose not to use a flying magical tool, which would make him too conspicuous, opting instead to travel on foot. Chapter 10, Did Senior Brother Chu encounter the Divine Star Sect? Plus, turn off reset. Elsewhere, within the Wu family estate, a courtyard held a figure of formidable stature seated in meditation on a daybed. This cultivator, who bore a wound on his left arm wrapped in lingering sword energy that refused to dissipate, occasionally grimaced in pain. He was Lu Zhenxiong, a foundation establishment stage cultivator of the Infinite Sect and the direct disciple of the Third Elder. At a certain moment, his eyes snapped open, a glint of cold light flashing through them. Have the Divine Star Sect's people arrived? Pulling out a token and channeling spiritual qi into it, he called out in a low voice, "Disciples of the Infinite Sect, gather to me." The token not only identified one's affiliation but also carried the capability to transmit messages, though this function was limited to a range of no more than 1,000 li. Upon hearing his summons, Qingge, Wei Hua, and other disciples promptly converged at the small courtyard, quickly swelling the numbers to over a dozen qi refining stage cultivators. Lu Zhenxiong spoke in an undertone. 2 Foundation establishment stage cultivators from the Divine Star Sect have appeared, likely targeting me. The disciples gasped in alarm. Lu Zhenxiong continued gravely, Su Ming and Bai Feng, you two are the strongest among the qi refining stage disciples present. Take half of the disciples each and leave separately. I will stay behind momentarily to cover your retreat. Touched by his dedication, the disciples immediately accepted the command, yes. Qingge and Wei Hua were among those assigned to Su Ming's group. As they gathered their belongings, Qingge suddenly tensed, recalling something. Senior brother Chu just purchased the blood refining array and left not long ago. He wouldn't have run into the Divine Star Sect's cultivators, would he? Wei Hua sighed softly, hard to say. Let's hope he's lucky enough to avoid them. Su Ming scoffed, wasn't he the one worried about being a large target and reluctant to follow Uncle Master Lu? Why worry about him? If he's dead, what does it matter to us? Frowning, Wei Hua rebuked, Su Ming, we're all in the same boat now, we should be pulling together. Why hold such a grudge against Chu Xian, especially at a time like this? Su Ming snorted dismissively, my issues with him are none of your business. Didn't you hear what Uncle Master Lu just said? I'm leading this group. Wei Hua clenched his teeth but remained silent. Back when the Infinite Sect was still intact, Su Ming often competed with Chu Xian for the 10th rank within the inner disciples, a position that could attract the attention of the elders for potential direct discipleship. Although Su Ming was slightly higher in cultivation level, he consistently lacked the strength to best Chu Xian and remained perpetually 1 rank below him at 11th, fueling his resentment. This backstory was well known to Qingge, Wei Hua, and others. Bai Feng and his group will head towards Wind-Flowing Mountain through the east side gate, Su Ming spoke calmly. We will take the west side gate, circle past Red Lake, and hide in White Ray Mountain. Search *the Nelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Unauthorized usage. This tale is on Amazon without the author's consent. Report any sightings. As a demonic cultivator who had survived to this point, Su Ming was no fool. Upon arriving at the Wu family estate, he had anticipated that righteous cultivators might someday come knocking, and he had prepared escape plans accordingly. Wind-Flowing Mountain and White Ray Mountain were among the most remote and densely wooded areas in Green River Prefecture. Even if the Divine Star Sect cultivators mobilized extensive manpower, it would take them months to find any trace of them in these mountains. Of course, if a Golden Core stage cultivator from the Divine Star Sect were to intervene, using their spiritual sense could instantly reveal every detail within the entire mountain range, leaving no place to hide. In such cases, they would have no choice but to accept their fate. However, it was highly unlikely for a Golden Core stage cultivator to personally deal with a few Qi refining stage juniors for 2 main reasons. Firstly, it would be seen as beneath them. Engaging directly with such low-level cultivators could be perceived as undignified. Secondly, the benefits did not align. If a Golden Core stage demonic cultivator were to hide in the mountains, then indeed, righteous Golden Core stage cultivators would promptly pursue them. Let's go, Su Ming gestured broadly, and Qingge, Wei Hua, and 2 others quickly followed. They had all disguised themselves and deliberately donned the attire of loose cultivators to blend in. Not long after leaving the Wu family estate, the sounds of combat reached their ears from behind, clangs and clashes of magical tools in the sky. Clearly, Lu Zhenxiong had engaged the 2 Foundation establishment stage cultivators from the Divine Star Sect. The battle sounded fierce. Move quickly, the sooner we leave, the sooner Uncle Master Lu can extricate himself, Wei Hua urged in a low shout. Su Ming nodded, and the group hastened their pace. However, they had only gotten 7 or 8 miles away from the Wu estate when Su Ming abruptly stopped and signaled for the others to do the same with a fist in the air. What's wrong? Qingge asked, his voice tinged with nervous suspicion. They were like startled rabbits, already on edge. Suming whispered, "My poison locusts saw that there are Divine Star Sect disciples guarding the path ahead. We must take a detour." He had cultivated a type of goo insect called the poison locust, which looked indistinguishable from ordinary locusts at first glance. But in swarms of thousands, they could inflict severe damage on an enemy. Poison locusts could also be used as scouts. Before departing, Suming had released a swarm of his cultivated locusts to keep an eye on their surroundings, alerting them to any movements. "Which way should we go?" Wei Hua asked. Suming gritted his teeth. "To the west, towards White Ray Mountain, there are 3 Divine Star Sect disciples on guard. We have no choice but to head south." "South?" Chenga and the others were shocked. "That's the main gate of the Wu family estate, it's the main road. There might be even more Divine Star Sect disciples stationed there." Suming clenched his jaw. "Right now, we can only take it one step at a time. If we have to, we'll just have to weave through them. Let's hope we don't get spotted." "Follow me." Suming gestured broadly and took the lead. Chengu, Wei Hua, and the others exchanged glances, resigned to follow. Lacking in strength and without any powerful backing, they felt as vulnerable as rats crossing the street. The group cautiously advanced for a while, gradually approaching the flat main road. Chengu whispered, "Senior brother Chu must have taken the main road, I wonder how he's doing." Wei Hua pondered for a moment. "Chu Xian is a master of disguise, perhaps he's been detained by the Divine Star Sect disciples under the guise of being a loose cultivator." Qin Ji's heart tightened. "If that's true, what should we do?" Suming scoffed, "Are you thinking of exposing ourselves to save him? You're overthinking it. We can barely protect ourselves, let alone someone else. To save others, save yourself first. Surely you understand that." Chengu, Wei Hua, and the others remained silent. "We're here." Just then, Chengu noticed that the landscape ahead opened up and quietly alerted the group. "Keep quiet," Suming hissed. "Wait, why is there a smell of blood?" Wei Hua paused, surprised. Everyone stopped, equally startled. They then saw, up ahead on the ground, 3 bodies lying still. From their attire, it was clear these were Divine Star Sect disciples. 2 of them were decapitated, their eyes bulging out as if they couldn't believe their own deaths. Chengu, with a sudden gesture, pointed at a middle-aged cultivator's head and cried out in alarm. "That head! I know it. It belongs to Wei Peng, ranked 9th among the inner sect disciples of the Divine Star Sect. This fellow is a master of the 7th Qi refining level. 2 of our inner sect senior brothers fell by his hand." Suming, Wei Hua, and the others turned their gaze in that direction, only to recoil in shock. Wei Peng, at the 7th Qi refining level, possessed a strength far surpassing theirs. Was he now dead? Moreover, the surrounding area showed scant evidence of combat. Clearly, these 3 had scarcely managed to resist before they were easily dispatched. Who could be responsible for this? Chengu swallowed hard. Could it be? I mean, is it possible that these 3 were killed by senior brother Chu? Suming promptly refuted, "Impossible, Chu Xian is merely at the 4th Qi refining level, he could at best defeat a 5th level cultivator. Moreover, facing 3 adversaries, how could he effortlessly eliminate them all? It would require at least the prowess of the 8th Qi refining level to instantly annihilate these 3. Chengu, Wei Hua, and the others pondered this and also deemed it unlikely. Suming exclaimed with vigor, "Let us depart, for whoever slew them has done us a great service. Once we reach safety, it will not be too late to extend our thanks to this adept." Chengu, Wei Hua, and the others concurred, nodding, "Indeed, let us hasten." The 5 quickened their stride and soon disappeared into the woodland. Elsewhere, Chu Xian had long since left the Wu family estate. He did not venture into any mortal hamlets or towns, but once assured of his distance, he found a small mountain and usurped a bear's den. The den's rightful owner was courteously escorted into the stomach. Chu Xian stirred the spiritual qi, purging the cave of its impurities and foul air. He then concealed the entrance and settled down cross-legged, eagerly inspecting the fruits of his venture. Foremost was, of course, his own storage bag. Currently, it housed the blood refining array and over 100 small spiritual stones. These stones were acquired in exchange with Chengguo, Weihua, and others for 30 blood beads. Previously, a blood bead was priced at 2 small spiritual stones each, now they've risen to 3. TSK, looks like they have scant opportunities to hunt demonic beasts and mortals for refining blood beads. Chu Xian's gaze then drifted to the side. The lesser storage bags of these 3 Divine Star Sect disciples piqued his anticipation even more, for they were akin to blind boxes that might contain treasures. He methodically opened each bag. A sparkle flashed in his eyes. The belongings in the bags of the 2 5th-level Qi refining disciples were mundane, merely containing 300 to 400 small spiritual stones and a standardized magic tool granted by the Divine Star Sect. However, the bag of the 7th-level Qi refining disciple was far more promising, holding 2 medium spiritual stones and over 800 small spiritual stones, along with a set of the Qi gathering array and a mystifying array, both optimal for establishing a cave dwelling. The author's tale has been misappropriated. Report any instances of this story on Amazon. Beyond these, Chu Xian unexpectedly discovered something extraordinary. He hastily retrieved the item from the bag. It was a sinister, pitch-black banner, within which resided the mournful wails and cries of countless tormented souls, sending shivers down one's spine. Chu Xian's eyebrows rose in intrigue. The Myriad Souls banner was a superior-grade magic tool. Typically, Qi refining stage cultivators possessed only lower or middle-grade magic tools. Those at the foundation establishment stage might acquire superior or even top-grade magic tools. It was unexpected that a disciple of the Divine Star Sect would possess a Myriad Souls banner. Demonic cultivators often captured gloomy souls or hunted other cultivators to extract their living souls, placing them into the Myriad Souls banner for refinement. Over time, these gloomy and living souls would transform into fierce ghosts, more ferocious, more terrifying. Once unleashed, the Myriad Souls banner would release thousands of these fierce ghosts, surging like a tidal wave. Chu Xian, ever perceptive, quickly grasped the situation. The Divine Star Sect disciple had likely stumbled upon and slain a cultivator from the Infinite Sect, obtaining the Myriad Souls banner and, rather than surrendering it to his sect, had secreted it away. The reasons for keeping it hidden were obvious. The Myriad Souls banner, a notorious demonic path magic tool, was immensely powerful. Clearly, he intended to keep it for himself and secretly refine it. One of the righteous 5 sects, and yet not all within the Divine Star Sect are as honorable as they claim, Chu Xian scoffed. Demonic treasures were powerful and quick to manifest, who wouldn't covet them? Were it not for the heavenly retribution that indiscriminate slaughter would incur, perhaps the righteous 5 sects would have long since turned to the demonic path. Nonetheless, this superior-grade Myriad Souls banner was an unexpected boon. Whether Divine Star Sect or Infinite Sect cultivators, anyone wishing to accumulate souls within the Myriad Souls banner would need to operate in secrecy. But Chu Xian was different. Once he returned to that apocalyptic planet, there would be plenty of zombies from which he could extract living souls. With this, I have gained yet another treasure to accompany me, Chu Xian thought, content. He immediately sat down cross-legged and began to meditate quietly. The blood mirror in his embrace slowly absorbed the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, gradually charging up. 5 days later, at White Ray Mountain, Su Ming, Chengguo, Wei Hua, and the others were hidden within a cave, anxiously waiting. Logically, Lu Zhenxiong should have shaken off Sunshur and the other Divine Star Sect cultivators 3 days ago and met up with them. Yet another 2 days had passed without a glimpse of Lu Zhenxiong. They dared not descend the mountain to investigate further, nor did they know the current state of the Wu family estate. Each day and night was spent in anxious anticipation. Perhaps, we should disguise ourselves and go down the mountain to look, Su Ming suggested, glancing at Chengguo. Your skills in disguise are the best among us, you go and check. Chen Ji's heart tightened. Why should I go? I always went to the peace market before. If we're going, you go. Su Ming stood up abruptly, his voice low and stern. Uncle Master Lu personally assigned me to lead this team. Qin Ge, are you planning to defy orders? Search *theovalfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Muttering under his breath, Qin Ge begrudgingly began to apply makeup. However, he had only done half when Lu Zhenxiong's voice suddenly rang from outside. No need to go down the mountain, I'm back. Lu Zhenxiong appeared at the cave entrance with a disciple in tow. Su Ming was overjoyed. Uncle Master, you're finally back. Lu Zhenxiong scanned the group and nodded slightly. The Wu family estate was surrounded tightly, yet you all managed to escape alive without a single loss. Truly fortunate. He pointed to the disciple behind him. Fang and his group originally planned to flee to Wind Mountain, but they were ambushed en route. Only Fang was lucky enough to escape and was rescued by me. Fang gave a wry smile. If not for Uncle Master arriving just in time, I would have perished too. Su Ming, you and the others are really lucky. Did you not encounter any intercepting Divine Star Sect disciples? Su Ming, Qin Ge, and Wei Hua exchanged glances and recounted the events of that day. 3 Divine Star Sect disciples, including one at the 7th Qi refining level, are dead? Lu Zhenxiong and Fang were astonished. No signs of a struggle. I presume it was an instant kill, leaving no chance for retaliation. It's highly likely only a cultivator of the 8th Qi refining level could achieve this, Su Ming murmured. Qin Ge timidly raised his hand. Uncle Master, could it be Senior Brother Chu? He has always been exceptionally strong. Su Ming frowned, still discussing Chu Xian? After these past few months without sufficient cultivation resources, he's probably still at the 4th level of Qi refining. How could someone at that level instantly kill a 7th level cultivator? Qin Ge couldn't help but interject, but remember, Senior Brother Chu traded 30 blood beads with us, perhaps his strength has advanced. Su Ming's face showed impatience. Lu Zhenxiong chuckled. Chu Xian, who has been consistently ranked 10th among the inner sect. I recall him. Although his talent is ordinary, his strength is formidable, a promising seed indeed. However, even if he's reached the 5th level of Qi refining now, facing 3 opponents of similar realms would still pose a great challenge, let alone one at the 7th level. Qin Ge was momentarily at a loss for words. Lu Zhenxiong pondered for a moment, then added, the top 10 disciples of our Infinite Sect's inner sect were all captured. It couldn't have been one of the Infinite Sect's cultivators. Perhaps it was a passing rogue cultivator who lent you a hand. Lu Zhenxiong casually remarked, no need to dwell on this further, let's return to the Wu family. Su Ming and the others were startled. Return? Lu Zhenxiong smiled slightly. They've turned the Wu family estate upside down, discovering that the Wu family's ancestor was under my influence, which is why we were hidden there. In reality, that Foundation establishment stage cultivator from the Wu family is one of our own. Now, the Wu family estate is truly a safe haven. 5 days later. In the cave, Chu Xian slowly opened his eyes, showing a hint of joy. Over the past few days, he had been absorbing blood beads daily to operate the blood spirit technique. The blood beads he had purified using the blood transformation technique on that apocalyptic planet were now exhausted. His cultivation had made significant progress. He was already at the pinnacle of the 6th level of Qi refining, just a step away from the 7th level. The 7th level of Qi refining was considered the late stage of Qi refining. He checked the blood mirror, it was fully charged. The time is right, it's time to return. Chu Xian immersed his thoughts into the blood mirror, connecting to the apocalyptic planet. Instantly, the world spun around him. When his vision cleared, he was astonished to find himself standing in a shopping mall. However, he could hardly believe how the Walmart shopping mall had changed. It was charred black everywhere, clearly unsuitable as a stronghold anymore. Chu Xian furrowed his brows. During his absence, someone had come to the Walmart and set it on fire maliciously. You might be reading a pirated copy. Look for the official release to support the author. Interesting, Chu Xian scoffed coldly. As a demonic cultivator, he hadn't yet provoked anyone, yet he had already been targeted. Who, fetch me a live one. Chu Xian took out the corpse-nurturing tower, released Hu, and commanded. Roar. With a roar, Hu, like a streak of black lightning, shot out. In a nearby district, inside a small supermarket, a woman lay on the ground, her head bloodied, dazed, and barely conscious. A gaunt man knelt beside her, weeping bitterly. Before them stood a burly man, muscular and imposing, wielding a modified iron rod in his hand. The rod was studded with rusty nails, striking anyone with it could cause tetanus if not outright death. Don't kill her, don't kill her. I'll do anything. The gaunt man stretched out his hands in a gesture of surrender. The burly man chuckled darkly, oh? Anything? He smirked. Then help her onto that chair, and tie yourself up. With his life hanging by a thread, the gaunt man had no choice but to comply. Moments later, after securing himself tightly with ropes, he pleaded, "Can we go free now?" The burly man burst into laughter. "Kid, you're too naive. Had you struggled desperately, I might have hesitated. But now, you're just a sitting duck. Ever since I was young, I've had a particular fancy that I've never been able to indulge. Now, I think I'll give it a try." His face twisted into a malevolent grin as his gaze roved lasciviously over the woman's curves. Only then did the gaunt man realize the danger. He roared in anger, "Wang Bao, you want food and water, I have it at home, just don't touch her." Wang Bao laughed sinisterly, his thick hands tearing away the woman's jacket, revealing her pale skin beneath. "Go to hell." The gaunt man roared, a lion-like strength erupting from him as he charged at Wang Bao with the heavy iron chair. However, Wang Bao was on guard. He whirled around and swung his rod. Thud. The gaunt man's body fell heavily, his skull cracking open, blood and brain matter scattering. Wang Bao sneered, "Idiot, trying to fight me." His words were cut short as he screamed in pain. The woman had awakened, grabbing his fingers and savagely biting into them. Her eyes were white, devoid of pupils, surrounded by bloodshot veins. She had clearly turned into a zombie. Damn it. This idiot brought a woman bitten by a zombie along. Wang Bao recoiled in horror, cursing furiously. Having witnessed the zombie outbreak for over 5 years, he had seen numerous comrades get bitten and turn into zombies. But having it happen to himself was both infuriating and terrifying. Damn it, die. Wang Bao bellowed in rage, wildly swinging his tetanus-ridden iron rod. The woman's skull was smashed open, her blood and brain matter spraying out in a gruesome fountain. Standing still, Wang Bao gasped for fresh air, his hands trembling as he fumbled in his pocket for a long while before finally pulling out a cigarette and a lighter. He had kept this cigarette in his pocket for over 3 months, never daring to smoke it. Now, facing the prospect of turning into a zombie, he figured there was no better time. Oh, shit. Just then, he heard footsteps approaching. Squinting, he saw a massive, pitch-black zombie striding towards him. This zombie was significantly larger than typical ones, resembling a moving mountain. High-level zombie. Wang Bao's heart skipped a beat. This creature was clearly a high-level zombie. He thought about running, but then remembered he had been bitten and would soon turn into a zombie himself. He stopped in his tracks. Hey, I'm about to be a zombie too, can I hang with you? Wang Bao, rather manically, gestured towards the mountainous zombie. The next moment, he saw the huge zombie charge towards him. With a swift motion, his right arm scooped Wang Bao up and tucked him under its armpit. Thump. Thump. See the novel, F.ir.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The massive zombie powerfully leapt from the ground, soaring over 5 meters high with each bound, repeatedly vaulting through the air. Wang Bao, dizzied by the motion, struggled to keep his bearings. When his vision finally cleared, he was astonished to find himself standing inside a dark, wall-covered shopping mall. Wang Bao was momentarily stunned. He recognized this place. Several months ago, he had driven Zhao Hong here to this Walmart. Zhao Hong's brother-in-law, Tang Hu, had disappeared right here. At that time, Zhao Hong had Ling Tao investigate. Ling Tao ultimately concluded that there might be a high-level zombie here. Later, Zhao Hong ordered them to douse the place in gasoline and set it aflame. The chilling atmosphere of that day contrasted sharply with the outside temperature, which had soared to 30 degrees. The memory was still vivid in his mind. At this moment, the hulking zombie beside him was unusually docile, completely still. Wang Bao couldn't help but take a closer look. Upon closer inspection, he realized that the zombie's face bore a striking resemblance to someone he knew, Tang Hu. Though the zombie's body had swollen significantly, its arms and legs massively thickened, it was still discernibly Tang Hu. Suddenly, he noticed a young man busily working ahead of him. Arrived? That was quick, the young man said casually, his back to Wang Bao as he tinkered with something. Hu growled a few times, seemingly a bit proud. Chu Xian laughed heartily, well done indeed, bringing a live one so quickly. I'll make you a companion shortly. Hu roared excitedly in response. Chu Xian casually took a seat on a chair and waved his hand. Hu then forced Wang Bao to kneel in front of the young man. Oh, you've been bitten? Good, killing you won't reduce my merit, Chu Xian noted Wang Bao's fingers with a nonchalant smile. See the novel Fire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Seeing his smile, Wang Bao instinctively felt fear. He somehow felt as though he was facing a ferocious beast, not a person. Unable to contain his curiosity, Wang Bao asked, "Who are you? Why can you control Brother Hu?" Chu Xian chuckled strangely, "You know who? Looks like you must be from that spirit hounds, huh?" Wang Bao nodded. Chu Xian's pupils flashed with a purple light. Good, you answer my questions now. At that moment, Wang Bao felt as if his soul had been seized, turning him into a puppet who could only comply. This spell, known as the soul-capturing gaze, was a low-tier qi refining stage technique, usable only against those whose realms were far below one's own, possessing no offensive power. Chu Xian deployed the soul-capturing gaze simply to avoid wasting words and to quickly gather the information he needed. Name, he commanded. Wang Bao. What position do you hold in the spirit hounds? Boss Zhao's confidant. Who ordered the burning of this place? If you encounter this story on Amazon, note that it's taken without permission from the author. Report it. Boss Zhao directed us to burn it. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. It was indeed Zhao Hong from the Spirit Hounds. He continued his interrogation, and Wang Bao responded obligatorily. After a while, the effect of the soul-capturing gaze ended, and Wang Bao gradually recovered from his dazed state. His head throbbed painfully, unaware of what had just transpired. Worse yet, the virus had already infected his entire body, and bloodthirsty thoughts began to emerge. Arg! Wang Bao let out a harsh scream. Chu Xian snapped his fingers. Hu immediately stepped forward, lifting Wang Bao and throwing him into a bathtub already filled with corpse-refining elixir. Wang Bao frantically gulped down the liquid, and soon, all noises ceased. Ah, the noodles are ready, time to show off, Chu Xian said, picking up the steaming bowl of instant noodles and beginning to eat. While eating, he contemplated his next moves. According to Wang Bao, Zhao Hong seems to have tamed 3 dogs, each over 3 meters long and ferociously formidable. Zhao Hong himself appears skinny but possesses muscle strength far beyond ordinary men. Furthermore, there's the existence of high-level zombies, far stronger than regular zombies. Could they have been mutated by the virus? This apocalyptic planet is intriguing. There might be threats that could challenge me, necessitating an organization to gather intelligence for me. Moreover, the number of zombies I can exterminate alone is limited. Having a gang at my disposal would greatly enhance efficiency. Chu Xian nodded slightly. This spirit hounds might be worth bringing under his command. Of course, turning them all into corpse puppets was also an option. It all depended on his whim. 2 days later. Chu Xian examined the rigid corpse puppet he had created, nodding in satisfaction. He placed it in the corpse nurturing tower and infused it with spiritual qi, performing an identification spell. 3rd level corpse soldier, medium talent. Its spells are Shadow Walk and Fire Spike, not bad. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. Both of the corpse puppets he had refined possessed medium talent. Shadow walk allowed for concealing one's presence and moving almost invisibly at high speeds. Fire spike involved condensing fire in the palm and striking fiercely at an enemy. Very good, Shadow walk combined with fire spike makes for an excellent assassin, Chu Xian chuckled as he nodded. This combination of spells was perfect. From now on, you'll be called Bao. Chu Xian patted the corpse puppet's shoulder satisfactorily. Bao immediately let out a joyous roar, as if celebrating his rebirth. Roar roar, who growled disapprovingly nearby. Bao's voice instantly quieted down, and he shrank his neck, showing great respect towards Hu. Hu then roared a few more times contentedly. In just that short moment, the two corpse puppets had already established their hierarchy. Chu Xian stretched lazily and smiled slightly. It's time now, let's head to Haotai Hotel. Roar roar. Hu and Bao both roared excitedly, their eyes gleaming with a bloodthirsty light. At the entrance of Haotai Hotel, there was originally just a security booth. However, under Zhao Hong's command, a watchtower rising 3 meters above the ground had been constructed. 2 men stationed in the tower were supposed to be on alert, but instead, they were engaged in a card game. Despite the Spirit Hound's massive strength, boasting over 300 members known for their bloodthirsty ferocity, in the entirety of East Lake City only Blackblade Security, no other major power could rival them. Lone survivors and smaller groups dared not provoke the Spirit Hounds. The 2 men in the watchtower weren't actually keeping watch, they were absorbed in their card game. Chu Xian could hear the men shouting from a distance and himself as he approached. Having fun, gentlemen? The 2 men instantly became alert, dropped their handmade cards, and hurriedly stood up. They were shocked to find 3 figures at the gate. The leader was a handsome young man in odd attire that seemed more suited to a fantasy drama than modern times. Behind him stood 2 towering, burly figures with grim expressions, looking as though they were ready to charge and devour at any moment. Who are you? The guards demanded. Chu Xian smiled, the new boss of the Spirit Hounds. The 2 guards looked at each other and burst into laughter. That's hilarious. You, a kid whose dick hasn't even grown in fully, want to be the new boss? After their laughter subsided, their expressions turned cold. You're interrupting our game, go eat shit. They picked up trash from beside them and hurled it towards Chu Xian. Chu Xian stood motionless as Hu swiftly positioned himself in front of him. With a loud clang, he swatted away the filth hurled their way. Kill them. They're just wasting food anyway, Chu Xian waved dismissively. Roar roar. Hu and Bao responded eagerly. The 2 corpse puppets propelled themselves off the ground like springs, instantly leaping onto the watchtower. The 2 guards widened their eyes in shock, unprepared for what was happening, and were swiftly disemboweled. Hu and Bao relished their feast, devouring with gusto. Stop eating, open the gate, Chu Xian commanded casually. Hu let out a few embarrassed roars and hurried to the gate, smashing it open with a single powerful swipe of his claw. Chu Xian then leisurely walked into the Haotai Hotel. The loud noise from the gate drew the attention of many inside. They peered out of windows or stepped out of doors, only to be met with the sight of Chu Xian and the 2 guards being devoured. Panic ensued. My God! Zombies have breached our headquarters. Quickly, more than 20 men armed with long guns and clubs confronted Chu Xian. They eyed the oddly dressed youth, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread. I'm here for Zhao Hong, Chu Xian stated indifferently. Ridiculous. You think you can just ask to see the boss? One of the men scoffed, growling at him. Chu Xian simply waved his hand, and Bao charged out, dragging the man from the crowd and slashing his throat open. Blood spurted out like a fountain, causing the others to shiver. Their gaze towards Chu Xian shifted dramatically. The zombies were obeying him. This man can control zombies. No wonder he dared to storm into the Spirit Hound's stronghold. Some looked more closely at Hu and Bao, recognition dawning on them. After a moment, someone screamed, they are Brother Hu and Brother Bao. The others caught on, filled with horror. Tang Hu was Zhao Hong's brother-in-law, and Wang Bao was one of his trusted subordinates. Both had once held significant status within the spirit hounds, far beyond ordinary members. Now, they had both turned into imposing zombies, following orders from this young man. The situation was utterly unbelievable. Chu Xian frowned, his impatience growing with these slow-witted gang members who still hadn't fetched Zhao Hong. He seriously doubted the utility of the spirit hounds. Even if he took control, these people seemed more like freeloaders than useful subordinates. Perhaps letting the corpse puppets consume them was the better option. This content has been misappropriated from Royal Road. Report any instances of this story if found elsewhere. You looking for me? A voice suddenly emerged from the crowd, which parted to create a path. A gaunt figure strode forward confidently, followed by 3 muscular, enormous dogs. Each beast exuded a menacing, bloodthirsty aura. This man was Zhao Hong, the leader of the spirit hounds. Chu Xian eyed the man with a trace of surprise. He could sense a fluctuation of energy emanating from Zhao Hong, an energy different from spiritual qi and inherently weaker in essence. However, it was clear that Zhao Hong's superior physical condition and his ability to tame such massive dogs were due to this peculiar energy. If he were refined into a corpse puppet, his strength would undoubtedly be formidable, Chu Xian thought, his eyes lighting up as he examined Zhao Hong as if he were a perfect piece of art. This scrutiny made Zhao Hong quite uncomfortable. Yet, recognizing that Chu Xian was no ordinary individual, especially given his unheard-of ability to control zombies, Zhao Hong suppressed his discomfort and asked calmly, "Who are you? Why are you looking for me, and what exactly do you want?" Chu Xian responded evenly, "The Walmart you burned down was under my control." Zhao Hong paused, taken aback. That incident had occurred months ago, almost forgotten until now. Only at Chu Xian's mention did he vividly recall the ice-cold ambience of the mall. Zhao Hong nodded, "Yes, I burned it. I was unaware of your ownership at the time. If you wish, I can arrange for another mall to be prepared for you. Most of East Lake City is under the control of the spirit hounds." A gang member, outraged, interjected, "Boss, he killed our men." Zhao Hong swiftly backhanded the man, sending him flying. "Not enough," Chu Xian shook his head. Zhao Hong, meeting Chu Xian's gaze coldly, replied, "I've offered compensation. Whether you accept it is your choice, but the spirit hounds will not keep making concessions. Don't forget, you also killed my men." He stood firm, the gang leader in front of his subordinates, unwilling to let Chu Xian push him too far. Chu Xian chuckled and snapped his fingers, "Simple. I want the entire spirit hounds." Zhao Hong was taken aback, then laughed out of sheer anger, "Interesting. This is the first time I've encountered someone as brazenly foolish as you. Dahe, Daho, Urho, attack. Devour him alive." As his command echoed, the 3 ferocious dogs lunged forward, their slobbery jaws aiming for Chu Xian's throat, left arm, and right leg. Yet, Chu Xian remained composed, hands behind his back. Hu swiftly moved in front of him while Bao vanished from sight. A golden aura enveloped Hu, making him appear as a celestial warrior descended to earth. Clang! The 3 giant dogs slammed into Hu, their powerful bites snapping shut. But in the next moment, they began to whimper in pain. Their teeth, capable of crushing human skulls, shattered like glass. Zhao Hong's heart trembled with shock. These must be high-level zombies. And such formidable zombies were being controlled by a human? But wait, weren't there 2 zombies? Where was the other one? As this thought crossed his mind, a piercing pain suddenly erupted in his back. Twisting his body in a reflexive attempt to evade, Zhao Hong still felt the acute, tearing pain. A blade, formed from condensed fire, sliced through his back, spewing blood and leaving a long, deep wound. The fire continued to burn, sending agonizing pain piercing through his mind like countless needles. In just a few breaths, Zhao Hong felt his strength draining from his wound. His complexion turned pale, and his body swayed, needing support to remain upright. Whimpering sounds filled the air. By then, Hu had already dealt a brutal beating to the 3 spiritual dogs. Dahe, who had attacked Chu Xian most fiercely, was now bleeding from every orifice and convulsing on the ground, evidently on the brink of death. Daho and Urho, more sensible, immediately rolled over to expose their bellies in submission. Seeing this, Zhao Hong's heart turned ice cold. His long-trained spiritual dogs were effortlessly defeated and had even switched allegiances. His own vaunted physical strength seemed as fragile as tofu. Taking a deep breath, Zhao Hong suddenly pulled out a pitch-black metallic object from his bosom and, without hesitation, opened fire on Xianxia. Die, he snarled with a malevolent grin. See the novel Fire. Any *T website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chapter 15, The Dead Are More Obedient Than the Living Plus, Turn Off Reset. The incident unfolded suddenly, and the incredible speed of the firearm caught even Hu off guard. Despite its instinct to protect its master, it was still a step too slow. Xianxia saw the dark firearm and the flash of gunfire, yet he showed no fear. With a swish, a line of blood surged from his palm, appearing like a streak of crimson lightning. Clang! The bullet struck the bloodline and, as if hitting a steel plate, veered off course dramatically, firing into the crowd. A man screamed as he fell backward, landing in a pool of blood. The bullet had precisely pierced his eye socket and penetrated his brain. Zhao Hong's eyes widened in shock. What was that bloodline that could stop a bullet? He roared in anger and fired again. Bang, bang, bang. He discharged 3 shots in rapid succession. Each bullet was effortlessly blocked by the streak of blood, diverting their paths. None hit Xianxia, but 3 more members of the Spirit Hounds fell instead. Zhao Hong was utterly astounded. He had only 4 bullets, and all had been deflected. He could now see clearly that the bloodline was actually a large blood-colored worm. This young man could not only control zombies but also worms. It was terrifying. Xianxia extended his hand and gently caressed the blood-steel wire. He calmly asked, "Is this gun your last resort?" Thump. Zhao Hong collapsed, his body going limp as he fell to the ground, devoid of any will to resist. The Spirit Hounds is yours now. Spare my life, Zhao Hong swallowed hard, his voice earnest. He then knelt down, abandoning any pride he had as the leader of the Spirit Hounds. He had realized that the young man before him was a monster beyond his capacity to contend with. His life and everything he owned were now firmly in the hands of this formidable stranger. Now, his only chance to survive was to show sincere submission. Xianxia shook his head in response to Zhao Hong's offer of surrender and an alternative shopping mall. I'm satisfied with your body, I'll take the Spirit Hounds, and I want you too. Zhao Hong froze for a moment, then, as if suddenly realizing something, his eyes flashed with shock. This? I'm not gay, he stammered awkwardly, but if you insist, I guess I can't refuse. The surrounding gang members looked bewildered. This was their leader, Zhao Hong, always high and mighty. Yet now, to save his own life, he seemed ready to agree to anything. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh silently. Gay? That's not what I meant. Calmly, Xianxia commanded, Hu, tie him up and take him to the rooftop. Bao, you stay here with the 2 dogs and make sure no one leaves. Hu and Bao roared in acknowledgement of their orders. The Spirit Hounds members looked at each other, bewildered. With Zhao Hong kneeling and capitulating, they certainly didn't dare to flee. To them, this was merely a change of leadership. Regardless of who was in charge, they were still just underlings. If you spot this narrative on Amazon, know that it has been stolen. Report the violation. The young man couldn't possibly manage everything alone, could he? Thinking this, the gang members gradually calmed down and returned to their rooms to continue whatever they had been doing. On the rooftop of the Haotai Hotel, Hu arranged a clean reclining chair, and Xianxia lay down comfortably. Zhao Hong kneeled before him, smiling nervously, Big brother, what position do you want? I can do anything. Xianxia's pupils flashed purple as he again deployed the soul-capturing gaze. I ask, you answer. Initially, Zhao Hong struggled, but within half a minute, he became as docile as a marionette, responding mechanically to Xianxia's questions. After a while, the influence of the soul-capturing gaze faded. Chu Xian had extracted all the information he needed from Zhao Hong's mind. Psionic energy, a level 1 superhuman. Superhuman talent? He mused, intrigued. This planet, called Blue Star, was part of a centralized imperial nation known as the Han Dynasty, and this city, East Lake, was under the jurisdiction of Linjiang Province. East Lake City had two major forces, the Spirit Hounds Gang and the Black Blade Security. The information about the outbreak not being caused by a virus but by psionic energy was sourced from Black Blade Security. Normally, ordinary people couldn't withstand this energy, their genes would collapse, their bodies would mutate, and they would turn into bloodthirsty monsters, also known as zombies. Some people could endure the energy without awakening any talent, resulting in slightly stronger physiques, but still essentially normal humans. Others not only withstood the energy but also awakened superhuman talents, resulting in exceptionally strong physiques. These were the superhumans. Before the outbreak, Zhao Hong was a dog meat seller, often loitering around the outskirts of East Lake City, stealthily stealing domestic dogs to slaughter for meat. Perhaps it was this that awakened his superhuman talent, dog mastery, and natural ability to suppress and control dogs. Superhumans were categorized from levels 1 to 9. Having one psionic core made one a level 1 superhuman, and so on. Zhao Hong was a level 1 superhuman. Zhao Hong felt a sudden wave of dizziness wash over him. He had no inkling of the events that had just unfolded. Without further discourse, Chu Xian turned and began to prepare the elixir for corpse refinement. Being a level 1 superhuman, Zhao Hong boasted an exceptionally strong constitution. Therefore, only the finest elixir would suffice for the corpse refining process, anything less would simply waste his gifted physique. See the Nafire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. This time, Chu Xian devoted even longer to the preparations. It took a full 2 hours before everything was in order. Proceed, place him inside, Chu Xian commanded, gesturing dismissively. Who faithfully executed the order. Zhao Hong looked into the bathtub, filled with a dark, ominous elixir, and his expression turned to one of fear. Brother, didn't you promise to spare my life? What exactly is this for? Chu Xian cracked a sly smile. Just soak well, and you will emerge stronger. Hang in there. Zhao Hong swallowed nervously. He had the unsettling feeling that Chu Xian was merely toying him. With a plunge, Hu forced Zhao Hong's head down into the bathtub. Despite his desperate struggles to lift his head, Hu's overpowering strength kept him submerged. After being forced to swallow several mouthfuls, Zhao Hong finally quieted down, evidently rendered unconscious. Chu Xian took a sip of his instant milk tea, nodding slightly in satisfaction. Considering Zhao Hong's robust health, he had specifically added a soul-soothing herb to the elixir, a component known for its sedative effects. It was particularly well-suited for Zhao Hong. Holding his milk tea, Chu Xian walked to the edge of the rooftop, from which he could survey the entire hotel. He observed the members of the Spirit Hounds, who were listlessly congregating below. Some were playing cards, others were chatting, and a few, with nothing better to do, were engaged in a brawl. Humans need to eat and drink every day, Chu Xian mused aloud. Humans' hearts are hidden behind their stomachs, and there will always be those who bear ill will towards me. This Spirit Hound engages in actions that defy moral and heavenly principles, with few good souls among them. Killing them would not diminish my virtue. If that is the case, it would be better to transform them all into corpse puppets. After all, the dead are far more compliant than the living. Chu Xian sipped his steaming milk tea, contemplating. Hu, make your choice. Keep the strong for corpse refinement, and use the rest as nourishment. Upon hearing this, Hu roared excitedly. Chu Xian frowned. Remember to save some for Bao, and some for blood steel wire, don't consume them all yourself. Hu nodded reluctantly, then rushed off, buoyed by excitement. Within the Haotai Hotel, a bloody banquet unfolded. Hu, Bao, and 2 spirit dogs, all possessed strength to completely overpower ordinary humans. Where they passed, a storm of blood and carnage ensued. Screams were incessant, Chu Xian pondered thoughtfully. Zhao Hong had once mentioned the term high-level zombies. According to him, zombies were categorized into ranks. High-level zombie was merely a general term. Above ordinary zombies were level 1 zombies, within whom a solid psionic core had condensed. Their strength was comparable to that of a level 1 superhuman. Further above were the level 2 zombies, equivalent to level 2 superhumans. However, Zhao Hong had only encountered a few level 1 zombies, and had never seen a level 2 zombie. Psionic core? If a comparison must be made, would that refer to a golden core or a corpse core? The golden core is only formed by cultivators during the golden core phase. A corpse core also requires a corpse general equivalent in strength to a golden core cultivator. My 2 corpse puppets are still far from forming a corpse core. According to the superhuman system here, what level of zombie would they be considered? Chu Xian chuckled softly, reluctant to dwell on the matter. After all, they were not part of the same system and could not be directly compared. Moments later, Hu arrived at the rooftop with 6 robust men in tow. These men trembled uncontrollably. One of them had even wet himself in fear. Hu, with a human finger still hanging from the corner of his mouth, swallowed it before roaring a few times to indicate that he had completed his task. Chu Xian nodded slightly. During this time, he had prepared 6 batches of the corpse refining elixir. With a grand gesture, he directed Hu to throw them into the bathtubs to begin the corpse refining process. Meanwhile, he took to the skies on his flying magic tool, circling the Haodai Hotel, in search of areas densely populated with zombies. He had not forgotten his primary objective. That was to set up the blood refining array and sacrifice a massive number of zombies. Whoosh! Chu Xian soared through the sky on his flying sword. With human industrial activities absent, the skies of Blue Star were exceptionally clear. Chu Xian looked down at the desolate landscape below. High rises were overrun with lush vines. It was unclear how these vines had managed to climb hundreds of meters up the buildings. Perhaps, like animals, plants had also been affected by psionic energy, resulting in slight mutations. Chu Xian flew around, occasionally examining the situation below and shaking his head. He was dissatisfied. In many areas, the zombies were too sparsely scattered. Using the blood refining array in such conditions was not cost-effective. After all, activating the blood refining array required spirit stones. The spirit stones he had could at best sustain the blood refining array for about half an hour. That place looks promising. Chu Xian's eyes brightened. He suddenly discovered a horde of over 1,000 zombies gathered in an unfinished building. Moreover, these zombies were relentlessly surging upward as if something was drawing them. Chu Xian immediately steered his flying sword closer. At this moment, in the upper floors of the unfinished building, 2 robust men in black casual wear were escorting an elderly man, rushing towards the top floor. The elder was drenched in sweat, nearly being carried as they sprinted. Yet, despite this, he clutched tightly to a large box, never loosening his grip. Stolen content warning: this content belongs on Royal Road. Report any occurrences. Moments later, they reached the rooftop. The 2 men in black produced a walkie-talkie and sent out a distress signal. They dragged all available furniture to barricade the rooftop door, hoping to delay the zombies from breaking through. The elder collapsed on the ground, gasping for air. After a while, he spoke, "Gentlemen, I'm just a burden. With me, your chances of survival are slim. Take this level 3 psionic core, and leave me here. This was obtained at the cost of many lives, it must not be lost." Saying this, he solemnly passed the large box to them. Both men in black immediately shook their heads. One of them, named Zhuangchang, said earnestly, "Professor Xing, you are the chief of the Life Science Research Institute of Linjiang Province. Your life is more precious than ours. Even if we perish, you must not." The other, named Sun Meng, reassured him, "Don't worry, before coming here, we contacted Black Blade Security in this area. They will send a helicopter to pick us up. The distress signal has been sent, they should act swiftly. As long as we can hold on, we can survive. Professor Zhang sighed softly, the world is unpredictable, I fear we cannot depend on them. Minutes later. Thuds and roars of the zombies clawing and shrieking suddenly filled the air. Clearly, the pursuing zombies had caught the scent of living beings and were desperately pushing aside the furniture. Xianxia and Sun Meng's faces paled as they rushed to reinforce the barricade with their own strength. But how could two men withstand the force of thousands of zombies? With a loud bang, the furniture was violently shoved aside. Scores of zombies surged out, causing the pupils of Xianxia, Sun Meng, and Professor Zhang to constrict. Surrounded by so many zombies, their survival seemed impossible. Just then, the sound of a sword's hum filled the sky. The next moment, a youthful figure descended from the heavens. With a sweep of his long sleeves, a fierce wind erupted. Then, to the amazement of the three men, the zombies suddenly became like headless flies. Even with several living beings right before them, the zombies could neither see nor smell them. The youth flicked his finger lightly, sending a wisp of chi hurtling down the corridor. Like starving wolves catching the scent of meat, the zombies charged after it. In an instant, all the zombies had rushed into the corridor. With a casual wave of his hand, the rooftop door slammed shut. He stepped forward, took out a yellow talisman, and affixed it to the door. After these preparations, the youth then casually approached the three men. See the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. The two men gaped, feeling as though they were in the presence of a celestial being descended from the heavens. Professor Zhang scrutinized the youth. The young man's attire was reminiscent of the cultivators described in novels of Immortal cultivation, making it hard for him to believe that such a person could exist in reality. May I ask, what did you just do? Why aren't the zombies attacking us anymore? Xianxia couldn't help but inquire. Chu Xian replied nonchalantly, just a minor spell to conceal our chi. Concealment spell, a minor technique from the chi refining stage, could completely hide one's chi. Zombies, with their poor eyesight, rely solely on their sense of smell to attack the living. By using the concealment spell, he had completely hidden their chi, rendering the zombies effectively headless flies. Then, by releasing a strand of human chi, he lured the zombies away. Xianxia was about to ask another question when the rooftop door was struck again. The ensuing roar of numerous zombies made the trio instinctively step back. However, they were astonished to find that the door had become extraordinarily sturdy. Despite the relentless pounding by countless zombies, it remained undamaged. No need to worry, I've applied a solid rock talisman to the door. They won't be able to break through it, Chu Xian said casually. The solid rock talisman, a minor talisman from the chi refining stage, when applied to any object, could reinforce its durability. It not only strengthened the hardness but also extended its endurance. The strength of these ordinary zombies, even 1,000 of them attacking together, might just manage to break it. However, in such a confined space, at most only a dozen could attack at once. A single solid rock talisman was more than sufficient to handle them. The three men felt completely bewildered. Solid rock talisman? What was that? Chu Xian looked over the trio, finally focusing on the box in the elder's arms. What is in here that the zombies are chasing it? He pointed to the box and asked. Professor Zhang's heart tightened. Logically, he should not reveal what was inside the box. However, the youth before them had saved their lives and clearly possessed immense strength. Under such circumstances, there was no need for secrecy. It was better to be forthright. He stopped Xianxia and Sun Meng from stepping in front of him and spoke earnestly. Inside here is a level 3 psionic core, sourced from a level 3 zombie bear. I implore you not to take it away. It is very useful for our Life Science Research Institute. With it, we might be able to develop a weapon to combat the zombies, a great boon for the whole world. Chu Xian was puzzled. When did I say I wanted to take it away? Professor Zhang paused. You don't want it? This is a level 3 psionic core. Chu Xian chuckled lightly. To me, it's no different from a glass bead on the ground. Let me see, he said, reaching out his hand. Professor Zhang hesitated for a moment but then passed the box over. He had lived a long life and met many people. The youth's demeanor carried a pride that seemed genuinely indifferent to the psionic core. Chu Xian opened the box and saw a red bead lying quietly at the bottom. At first glance, it didn't seem much different from a glass bead. But upon closer inspection, he immediately detected a trace of energy within the bead. The nature of this energy was vastly inferior to spiritual qi. Though substantial in quantity, if compared, it would just barely match the spiritual qi found in a small spiritual stone. After only a few looks, Chu Xian put the item back in the box and shook his head slightly. The so-called level 3 psionic core only had as much energy as a small spiritual stone. He was beginning to get an idea of Blue Star's supernatural system. You too, are you level 1 superhumans? Military background? Chu Xian's gaze fell on the two men in black. He could tell from their coordinated actions that such synergy was unlikely to be honed outside of a military environment. The two men exchanged a glance and nodded. Zhuangchang spoke earnestly, "We are from the Linjiang army of Linjiang province, tasked with retrieving the zombie bear's psionic core and ensuring Professor Zheng's safe evacuation." Chu Xian nodded slightly. Even with the zombie crisis and the advent of the apocalypse, as long as humanity had not been extinguished, there would at least be nations and powers still existing. Clearly, the official power of the Han dynasty still held sway. "Who is supposed to evacuate you?" Chu Xian asked casually. Sun Mei replied, "Black Blade Security Company. They will use a helicopter to get us out." Chu Xian nodded, "Why haven't they come?" Zhuangchang replied with a helpless expression, "Their helicopter hadn't been used in a long time and needed repairs, so our originally scheduled meeting time was at noon. But we were besieged by a large number of zombies and had to send a distress signal early to ask them to come sooner. It might be because of that delay." The two men exchanged a look and sighed lightly. Black Blade Security was, after all, just a local force and couldn't compare to the strictly disciplined and orderly Linjiang army. Their own deaths mattered little, but not being able to return the level 3 psionic core would be a tremendous loss for the entire Linjiang province. "The story has been taken without consent. If you see it on Amazon, report the incident." Chu Xian smiled slightly, "You've attracted so many zombies, which is very useful to me. Help me with one thing, and I will ensure your safe departure." Professor Zheng and the two soldiers were taken aback. Professor Zheng widened his eyes, "Please tell us." "We will definitely help." After speaking, he felt he might have promised too much and quickly added, "But we can't do anything against the rules. That's our bottom line." See the Nefire.at website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Chu Xian chuckled, "You don't need to do much, just continue standing on this rooftop and keep attracting the zombies. That's enough. With the solid rock talisman, that door won't be broken." Professor Zheng and the two soldiers exchanged doubtful glances. Continue to attract zombies? What did this young man want to do? They racked their brains but couldn't fathom Chu Xian's intentions, so they decided not to overthink it. Professor Zheng nodded, "This task is not difficult, we can do it." Chu Xian gave a nod of approval. The next moment, he rose on his sword. A fierce wind whipped up on the rooftop, making it impossible for the three men to keep their eyes open. When they managed to see clearly again, Chu Xian was already soaring in the sky. Professor Zheng and the others were utterly astonished. When Chu Xian first appeared, they hadn't seen clearly. But now, they had watched with their own eyes as Chu Xian flew into the sky. What was this? Sword flight. Wasn't that something only found in cultivation novels? It was now happening right before their eyes. Zhuangchang swallowed hard, flight through the void. That's not something humans can do. Sun Meng said in awe, could he be a cultivator? Professor Zheng's heart was in turmoil. He felt as if his worldview, already reshaped once by the zombie crisis, was collapsing again. This must be reported immediately when we return. A cultivator. Our Linjiang province actually has a cultivator. Professor Zheng's aged fingers trembled uncontrollably. Elsewhere, Chu Xian soared through the skies, searching for the ideal location to set up his formation. The blood refining array required 18 array flags. He needed to position these flags at 18 specific points and embed spirit stones within them. Finally, the array would be activated through an array disk. Although Chu Xian's proficiency in formation arts was only average, he was willing to invest the effort, enabling him to adeptly set up the blood refining array. Within half an hour, he had all 18 array flags properly positioned. From above, the flags around the unfinished building formed an 18-sided polygon, encapsulating the vast majority of zombies in the vicinity. Chu Xian had asked Professor Zheng and the others to remain on the rooftop precisely to keep attracting zombies, preventing them from wandering aimlessly. After completing these tasks, Chu Xian returned to the rooftop. At that moment, Professor Zheng and the others were nibbling on protein energy bars. Seeing Chu Xian return, they quickly stood up. "Follow me, one at a time," Chu Xian instructed, reaching for Professor Zheng first. His flying magic tool could only carry one extra person. The two soldiers instinctively stepped forward, intending to shield Professor Zheng. Their orders were to ensure his absolute safety. However, Professor Zheng, anticipating their reaction, held back their hands and gave them a knowing look, halting them. They realized something important: with Chu Xian's strength, eliminating them would be effortless. Yet, he had still chosen to honor his promise to lead them to safety. Distrusting him at this juncture could provoke his ire. "Let's go, young friend," Professor Zheng said cheerfully. Chu Xian gave a half-smile. With his keen perception, he immediately understood the implications behind Professor Zheng's actions. Yet, he chose not to address it. The trio had assisted him in attracting a large number of zombies, which put him in a good mood. Keeping his promise to escort them away was the right thing to do. Soon, Chu Xian had transported each of them from the unfinished building and set them down in a nearby open square. "Contact your rescue team, I have other matters to attend to," Chu Xian said, gesturing for them to leave. "Thank you," Professor Zheng bowed deeply, unable to resist asking, "May I have your name?" "Chu Xian." "Thank you, young friend Chu Xian. I, Jing Baoshan, will always remember the life-saving grace you've shown us today." With another bow, Professor Zheng then left under the escort of Zhuang Cheng and Sun Meng. Chu Xian cast a fleeting glance at the receding figures, then turned his attention to more pressing matters: the activation of the blood refining array. He ascended on his flying sword to midair and gazed down upon the zombies clustered within the unfinished building like headless flies, and activated the array disk. A peculiar blood light burst forth from 18 points, swiftly engulfing the entire area. Within the blood refining array, everything was shrouded in a murky, crimson haze, obscuring all clarity. Every living creature within was visibly drained of its blood essence at a visible rate. The zombies, initially howling with vigor, quickly wilted as their lifeblood was extracted. In less than 3 minutes, one after another turned into mummified corpses and collapsed to the ground. The process continued, second, third, fourth. All the blood essence converged towards the array disk, coalescing naturally into fist-sized blood pearls. Chu Xian, poised on his flying sword in midair, felt a surge of exhilaration. The efficiency was astounding. Soon, the blood essence of all the zombies within the area had been completely drained by the blood refining array, and the spirit stones within the 18 array flags were also exhausted. Upon inspection, Chu Xian noticed 13 large blood pearls had formed on the array disk. Each was ruby red and glossy, resembling red jade agates, and emitted a faint scent of blood. Chu Xian couldn't help but marvel at them. Each of these 13 large blood pearls was the size of a fist and of superior quality, each worth at least 20 smaller pearls. These 13 large blood pearls should suffice for my cultivation up to the 9th level of qi refining. Chu Xian nodded slightly. Just as he was about to depart, he suddenly noticed a strange phenomenon in the sky. A plethora of golden light spontaneously appeared, forming myriad golden flowers that cascaded from the sky and swirled around him. This spectacle lasted for about 5 minutes before gradually subsiding. Chu Xian was astonished. Golden flowers cascading. Wasn't such a phenomenon supposed to herald those endowed with great virtue? Why had it descended upon him? After a brief moment of surprise, he suddenly recalled. He had just slaughtered thousands of zombies, not sure exactly how many, but certainly over 3,000. Killing each zombie garnered a small amount of merit. The accumulation of such merit had triggered the spectacle of golden flowers cascading. Chu Xian's expression turned peculiar. Demonic cultivators, great virtue, golden flowers cascading. These terms should never be associated together. Every demonic cultivator carried a myriad of karmic debts. Not summoning celestial thunder was already fortunate. And yet, great virtue? Golden flowers cascading? Such contradictions made him reflect on the unexpected and peculiar path his actions had forged. The story has been illicitly taken. Should you find it on Amazon, report the infringement. Among all demonic cultivators throughout the ages, perhaps I am the only one to have ever drawn forth such a manifestation of merit, Chu Xian mused with a wry smile. At that moment, all the golden flowers were absorbed into his body. Chu Xian blinked, suddenly feeling his thoughts become extraordinarily clear. The difficulties he had encountered while cultivating the blood-spirit technique now seemed to unravel effortlessly, as if divine clarity had been bestowed upon him. Problems that were once insurmountable now easily found their solutions. Moreover, he discovered something indescribable and profound within himself, increased longevity and fortune, the true benefits of accruing merit. His comprehension soared, his fortune wrapped tightly around him, and his lifespan expanded. The accumulation of merit from his previous slaying of zombies had now catalyzed a profound transformation. No wonder those righteous cultivators clamor daily about eradicating evil and acting as the agents of heaven, they covet such abundant merit. Chu Xian had an epiphany. If I were to deploy a blood-refining array in the future, sacrificing tens of thousands, millions, or even hundreds of millions of zombies, wouldn't the merit flood towards me, unstoppable, enhancing my wisdom, fortune, and lifespan immensely? The thought of such future possibilities brought a gleeful expression to his face. This planet, Blue Star, was truly a paradise for demonic cultivators. Chu Xian quickly collected the array flags and departed on his flying sword. With so many blood pearls acquired, it was time for him to cultivate earnestly. After Chu Xian left, a helicopter roared overhead, carrying Jing Baoshan, Xuangchang, Sun Meng, and the pilot, who was also a team leader at Heifeng Security Company, Wang Yong. Professor Jing, as soon as we received your distress signal, we hurried over here. Unfortunately, the helicopter hadn't been flown in a long time, and we were lacking spare parts, which delayed the repairs, Wang Yong explained apologetically. Xuangchang scoffed, if it weren't for someone else saving us, we would have already perished in East Lake City. Delaying the Institute's research and throwing you out to feed the zombies wouldn't even begin to compensate. Wang Yong offered an awkward smile, yes, you're right. He attempted to ingratiate himself with Professor Zheng, but the elder man turned his face away, giving Wang Yong not a single glance for the entire journey. Wang Yong was visibly uncomfortable. As he was about to say something more, he suddenly pointed toward the unfinished building ahead and exclaimed, my heavens, what happened here? Jing Baoshan and the others followed his gaze and recognized the building where they had previously stayed. However, the structure, which had been teeming with thousands of zombies just a short while ago, now lay eerily silent. A closer inspection revealed countless desiccated corpses strewn about haphazardly. These zombies, which had been lively and energetic not long ago, were now dead. And their deaths were peculiarly unsettling. Stop, I need to go down and look, Jing Baoshan said sternly. Wang Yong hesitated, but there might still be zombies hiding below. Search *thenovelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. I said I want to go down. Jing Baoshan fixed his gaze on Wang Yong, his voice icy and deliberate. Wang Yong dared not offend further and quickly lowered the helicopter. Moments later, under the protection of Xuangchang and Sun Meng, Jing Baoshan approached the outside of the unfinished building. Now, standing closer, they could see the skeletal remains scattered everywhere. Xuangchang pulled out a military knife and sliced open a corpse, finding not a trace of blood. With a slight squeeze, the remains crumbled into debris as fine as gravel, as if all the blood and moisture had been extracted. How could this have been done? Zheng Baoshan was speechless. Only about half an hour had passed since they had left, and now thousands of zombies here had been drained of blood. Such a feat was beyond human capability. Could it have been that cultivator? Sun Meng whispered. Recalling Chu Xian's actions and demeanor from earlier, Zheng Baoshan nodded gravely. It's very likely him. This is too important, we need to hurry back and report this to General Yi. Yes, Zhuang Chang and Sun Meng nodded emphatically. Chapter 19, the 7th level of Qi Refining, Spell of Nether Fire Orb Plus, Turn Off Reset. In the Haotai Hotel, Chu Xian returned as dusk had already settled. He fetched a bucket of instant noodles and 2 cans of beef, preparing his evening meal. As cultivators advance in their cultivation, reaching the foundation establishment stage allows them to subsist on ethereal nourishment, consuming the mist and dew, severing earthly ties to mundane sustenance. However, Chu Xian had not yet reached the foundation establishment stage. Besides, having not indulged in instant noodles for over 20 years, what harm was there in enjoying them now? Zhao Hong's little storehouse was piled high with instant noodles, alongside a variety of chocolates and biscuits, all long-lasting food supplies. Enough for Chu Xian to feast heartily. The bathtubs were now silent. Chu Xian sent Hu and Bao, along with 2 spirit hounds, out to hunt independently, instructing them to bring back a few lively zombies to serve as spiritual plant furnaces. He commanded Hu and Bao not to prey on living humans at random, prioritizing zombies instead. Should they slaughter innocent mortals, the sin would inevitably fall upon him. He was not prepared to see the merits he had just gained vanish in the blink of an eye. After issuing his orders, Hu and Bao held in unison, signifying their understanding. Beside them, Daho and Erho remained silent until Hu kicked them, sending them flying with a yelp. The 2 spirit hounds whined but quickly nodded in agreement. Watching them leave, Chu Xian sat down cross-legged to absorb the great blood orb. The fist-sized orb hovered before him, strands of bloody qi entering his nostrils, circulating within his body according to the pathways of the blood-spirit technique. With each complete circulation, Chu Xian's spiritual qi grew stronger. 2 days later, his aura suddenly broke through a bottleneck. It was as if a fish had entered the sea, freely swimming. His eyes snapped open, a look of joy spreading across his face. The 7th level of Qi Refining. At this level, he was considered to be in the late stages of Qi Refining. The 7th level of the Blood Spirit technique, and a new spell to try. His repertoire of spells, minus those lacking defensive capabilities, included only the Spirit Blood Shield from the 4th level of the Blood Spirit technique, a mid-tier defensive spell of the Qi Refining stage. Most of the time, he relied on undead soldiers and goo insects for defense. Now, having mastered the 7th level of the Blood Spirit technique, he possessed a powerful superior spell. Chu Xian stood abruptly, his palms gathering spiritual qi. Gradually, a chilling green flame coalesced in his palm. At a certain moment, when the green flame had swelled to its limit, Chu Xian fiercely thrust it forward. With a loud bang, the wall was suddenly blasted open, sending debris scattering everywhere. Around the edges of the hole, the eerie green flames continued to burn for over 10 minutes before gradually subsiding. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. True to its reputation as a superior spell of the Qi Refining stage, its power was formidable. This spell was named Nether Fire Orb. This novel's true home is a different platform. Support the author by finding it there. The Infinite Sect boasted 4 Qi Refining stage techniques, each with corresponding superior attack spells, 9 in total. Among them, Nether Fire Orb was undoubtedly the most powerful. Search *the novel Fire, the net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. However, it had a critical flaw: the charging time was too long, and it consumed a great deal of spiritual qi. With his current reserves, Chu Xian could only cast it 3 times. During the charging period, he was vulnerable to attack. If the spell failed to hit the target, the consequences would be dire, likely leaving him in a defensive position. Nevertheless, Chu Xian was not overly concerned about missing his target. With many undead soldiers under his command, he could effectively restrict the enemy's movements. The blood steel wire also possessed the innate spell of blood binding, making it easier to control foes. Excellent, I should practice more and master the nether fire orb, he mused. As Chu Xian prepared to continue practicing the nether fire orb, a noise came from the direction of the bathtub. Growling, a corpse puppet climbed out and respectfully approached Chu Xian. Soon, the other corpse puppets also awakened and gathered around him. Chu Xian had earlier mixed his blood into their corpse refining elixir. Although it was not his essence blood, it had preemptively bound them to him, and that explained their respectful behavior. Chu Xian took them back into the corpse nurturing tower and performed an identification technique. The results were somewhat disappointing. All 16 corpses possessed inferior qualities, and their spells were lackluster. The leap technique, allowing them to pounce forward over distances, and the jump technique, enhancing their jumping abilities, were the more useful ones. Other corpse puppets possessed such spells as the rapid eating technique, which accelerated their eating speed, the water storage technique, which allowed them to store water in their stomachs, and the purification technique, which could purify wastewater. Chu Xian even discovered a self-destruct technique in one, which would rush into battle and self-detonate. He resignedly issued an order, forbidding this particular corpse from ever using its spell. I painstakingly used refining elixirs and devoted effort to raise you, and you would explode at the slightest provocation in battle? How is that reasonable? Has this one not awakened yet? Chu Xian approached the bathtub at the front. Inside it lay the body of Zhao Hong, yet only a thin layer of the corpse refining elixir remained. While the other corpse puppets had already emerged, Zhao Hong had not. Chu Xian was actually pleased by this delay. It was a good sign, indicating that Zhao Hong's corpse was vigorously absorbing all the essences of the elixir without cessation. After pondering for a moment, Chu Xian prepared another bucket of the corpse refining elixir and poured it into Zhao Hong's bathtub. At this rate, it might take another 3 to 5 days. Chu Xian then found an empty room and began to practice the nether fire orb. Meanwhile, at the Black Blade Security, which contrasted sharply with the spirit dog-occupied Haodai Hotel, the surroundings were much cleaner and tidier. The company was enclosed by iron fencing topped with barbed wire, which was stained with blood and flecked with remnants of flesh, a clear testament to its effectiveness against zombies. At that moment, a man stood at the gate. "Open up, it's Wang Yong." The gate slowly swung open, and Wang Yong strode in. 2 gaunt men approached him, giggling, "Brother Yong, did you send those 3 away?" Wiping the sweat from his brow, Wang Yong replied, "Sent them off, the Linjiang army will pick them up." "I need to see my cousin, I have something important to tell him." One of the gaunt men pointed to a 3-story building and whispered, "The manager is busy there. It's best not to go now, Brother Yong, you wouldn't want to disturb his mood." Wang Yong frowned deeply. "I must go, it's important." He quickened his pace towards the building. A tall, burly man guarded the entrance of the small building. Wang Yong attempted to go upstairs but was stopped. "I need to see my cousin," he growled. The burly man remained expressionless. The manager ordered not to be disturbed by anyone, including you. Grinding his teeth, Wang Yong shouted, "Brother! It's me. I have something important to tell you." After a moment of silence inside the building, the sound of a desk being slammed echoed. A buzzcut head emerged from a window, cursing, "Damn it, don't you know I'm busy?" After a pause, he grumbled, "Come up then." Inside the dimly lit 3-story building, Wang Yong reached the 3rd floor. A slender woman sat in a chair, while beside her, a man with a buzz cut and dark skin focused intently on playing a video game. The screen displayed a grim and dark style, showing an armored warrior with a large shield and a straight sword battling a giant flaming titan. Meanwhile, another screen played scenes of passionate lovemaking, the source of the seductive noises Wang Yong had heard. However, Wang Yong was not surprised by this scene, he had seen it before. Others might think he was practicing or something important, but actually, he is just playing a game. That was why he didn't let people casually approach his office, because a boss who loved playing games seemed to undermine his dignity. Suddenly, a scream sounded from the screen, and Wang Gangjian put down the controller with a sigh. This giant is really tough. Tell me, what is it? He said, turning to his cousin Wang Yong. Wang Yong promptly recounted the scene he had witnessed at the unfinished building, in great detail and without omission. Wang Gangjian's expression was initially casual but quickly turned serious. High-level zombies, it must be high-level zombies, Wang Gangjian said gravely. What did that old Jim from the research institute say? Wang Yong shook his head. They said nothing, and when I pressed who had rescued them, they evaded the question. Wang Gangjian sighed lightly. East Lake City is really not a good place to be, with advanced zombies appearing one after another. Just a while ago, didn't Zhao Hong notify us that an advanced zombie appeared at the Walmart, and then it vanished? What should we do? Wang Yong asked. Wang Gangjian glared at him. What else can we do? Increase our vigilance, and stay away from that area. And, ask for some support from the Linjiang army. We are a force established under the guidance of the Linjiang army. With advanced zombies appearing frequently in East Lake City, we have to ask them for support. Wang Yong grinned. You're always the smart one, big brother. Just as Wang Gangjian was about to pick up the controller again, he suddenly remembered something else. You came back just in time. Zhao Hong bought a batch of canned food and medicines from us. Take some men and deliver it to them. Eh? Didn't he always complain about the prices? Why is he buying now? Wang Yong was puzzled. Wang Gangjian spoke offhandedly. The spirit hounds has always been short on medicines. Initially, they staunchly refused to buy, claiming they still had supplies. Now that they've run out, they've no choice but to grit their teeth and pay the premium. This book was originally published on Royal Road. Check it out there for the real experience. Wang Yong chuckled. Fine. I'll take some men and deliver the goods then. Go on, then. Wang Gangjian, without turning his head, waved dismissively and resumed his frustrating game. Sia the novelfire.net website on Google to access chapters of novels early and in the highest quality. Meanwhile, Wang Yong and two men climbed into a Wuling van and headed towards the Spirit Hounds headquarters at the Haotai Hotel. The gang maintained several strongholds, with the hotel serving merely as their main base. Additionally, there were food supplies from a large greenhouse to the north and a small fishery to the south. Due to East Lake City's modest size and relative abundance of resources, the Spirit Hounds and Black Peak security had coexisted without fatal conflicts. An hour later, the van pulled up outside the Haotai Hotel. As one of the men started to disembark, Wang Yong hastily pulled him back. Something's off, it's too quiet. The Spirit Hounds is never like this. Wang Yong's face was grave as he sharply sensed the anomaly. It was broad daylight, a time when the gang members typically gathered in noisy clusters, playing cards or brawling. Each delivery was usually met with loud commotion from inside, but this silence was unnervingly odd, as if everyone had vanished. Look carefully, Wang Yong whispered. The two men nodded and peered around cautiously. Suddenly, one exclaimed, Brother Yong, there's a body over there, a mutilated body. Wang Yong followed their gaze and indeed spotted a body. To call it a body was somewhat inaccurate, it was merely a fragment, consisting of part of an arm and a leg. Let's get out of here, fast. Wang Yong swallowed hard and growled. The presence of body parts indicated that the Haotai Hotel had definitely been attacked. Whether by zombies or some other formidable foe, the adversary was undoubtedly powerful. After all, Zhao Hong was considered a first-level superhuman. For an enemy to have silenced Zhao Hong, their strength had to be immense. Their only option now was to flee as quickly as possible. Buzzing with urgency, the van sped away with remarkable speed. However, they had not driven far when several figures appeared on the rooftops ahead. Through the car window, Wang Yong caught sight of two towering figures, resembling moving mountains. Each of their movements seemed to shake the ground. Their faces were fierce, their appearances bloodthirsty, bearing some resemblance to zombies yet with slight differences. Accompanying them were two giant hounds, which Wang Yong recognized as Zhao Hong's dogs, Daho and Erho. High-level zombies. And two of them. Even Zhao Hong's dogs had abandoned him and now followed these formidable creatures. Wang Yang's heart nearly burst from his chest. He bellowed, "Speed up, get us through. Don't stop." The driver, equally terrified, floored the accelerator, wishing he could merge with the engine to spin the wheels faster. Bao noticed the moving vehicle. The scent of living humans immediately ignited its bloodlust. Baring its teeth, it prepared to charge. Daho and Erho displayed equal aggression. Roar. But Hu growled low, a sound so threatening it immediately subdued the others. Bao, Daho, and Erho's voices quieted, tinged with resentment. Under the watchful eyes of the two zombies and two dogs, the van sped away. Wang Yang's heart raced. Are they following? Should I drive faster? The driver shouted. Ugh, no. Ugh. Wang Yang vomited several times before managing to sit upright. You really need, to improve your driving skills. The driver gave an embarrassed smile. Wang Yang glanced behind them. The four figures accelerated toward the Haotai Hotel. In the blink of an eye, they entered the hotel and disappeared. Wang Yang suddenly pieced everything together. He realized that the spirit hounds had likely been annihilated by the two high-level zombies. Zhao Hong was probably dead. The Haotai Hotel and its surroundings had become the territory of these advanced zombies. Let's get back. We need to inform the boss immediately. Ugh. Wang Yang growled. Alright, I get it. Just don't throw up on me, the driver nodded.